This is theirs to lose.
Well, and whoever does lose this series will be going home early. Whoever wins, well, they've got a tough matchup ahead. It'll be Team Empire. Long way to go. First map of this best of 3. Team 1. Slight underdogs, at least here on Clubhouse, according to the social vote. But there's every opportunity that they can take this map and get off to the perfect start. Of course, this is Space Station's map pick. After this, we go to Chalet, and then Oregon is the decider. We go straight into the band phase. Let's get this one started.
Keen to jump into this one, and I know there's going to be a lot of North American and LATAM fans who have either stayed up or woken up really early for this match in excitement. So keen to jump in, and there are a lot of storylines heading into this one. Space Station, the current world champions, looking to make the lower bracket run, and Canadian looking to make the most of what may well be his final days as a competitive Siege player. Team 1 trying to make a statement. The unknown quantity flying the flag for Latin America, a really strong region thus far in this tournament. Kicking off the bans, though, 2 hard breaches off the board. So we'll see some reliance, of course, on the Thermite and the Ace on the side of the attack. Valk taken off the board, making some of the intel gathering a little bit trickier for the defense and preventing IQ from being picked. And Wamai to close things out. Projectile Denial is the name of the game at the moment, and we're seeing Wamai bans frequently on a multitude of maps.
And just quickly before we really get into this match and really the entire series as a whole, obviously a lot of focus, a lot of eyes on SSG, a lot of the storylines surrounding Space Station and of course Canadian. But for Team 1, I do want to just give them a brief moment in the spotlight here, and as we will throughout the match. 4-5 in a pretty decent Group A. They were only 1 spot away from that upper bracket top 4. They had a 0 round differential. For the most part, they had a very good group stage, and coming into the tournament, there were a few, at least on the desk and of the talent team, that recognized they were going to do well, and there was a few that thought they wouldn't do very well. And ultimately, I think they've actually come to 6 Invitational and already had a bit of a success. If they could knock off Space Station Gaming here, move forward in the lower bracket, it will be an extra tick for Team 1. For Space Station, of course, they don't really want to go home this early, not in the lower bracket, not in round 1, and they probably do want to rectify their group stage where they went 2 and 5 in Group B. So we'll see how it all plays out and pans out. One team goes home, one team moves forward. We start off on Clubhouse, and we'll be Space Station on the defense.
The full SSG roam not quite being committed to here, no castle on the board, but there are reinforcements, and we are, of course, seeing the Mute Mozzie combo being brought out. So we do expect SSG to hold this, at least for the most part. Might fall off it quickly. It will depend on how Team 1 try to approach it. I would assume that they're going to try and clear these positions out. Trying to establish some early dominance here. SSG in the group stage were quite strong on their defense, lacking in their attack though. Team 1 will know that heading into this matchup, and will look to mount the pressure early here on their attacks.
And for Team 1 coming into this game, it's a little bit of a surprise that we're even on Clubhouse. For the record, guys, I really didn't think that they would allow this one to get through. They've banned it out many times, as Jess and Dev brought it out 6 times over the course of the group stage. They banned it, so they haven't really played it. And now you're going up against Space Station, obviously well favored on this matchup and on this map. So a good opportunity for Space Station. They're on the defense first, slightly defender-sided at SI so far over the course of the group stage, around that 56% mark. So we'll maybe round that down to about 55%. So a 4-2 half for SSG on the defense would be ideal as Team 1 open up this jacuzzi wall and begin to clear out this top floor.
With 2 hard breach bans, that does mean that the Thatcher is available. Team 1 utilizing that to clear the Mute Jammers off the walls on the roam to create lines of sight and try and force SSG back. KDS is ready and waiting for that rotation. Narrowly misses a player, gets timed as they cross in towards Lounge. Impact Nade heads out, he gets lit up and taken down by Faults. It's a good start for SSG.
Nice start from Faults. Alamal's going to get immediately the trade back though, so 4 versus 4. Still a lot of time in the clock here for Team 1, but they're going to make their way towards basement eventually. SSG just denying so much time here by continuing to play above, holding this cash position, top red as well. Neskin looking to flush out Rampy, who just starts to fall back slightly, but thinking Nate has a peek, and he is successful. Levy's going to be eliminated. Space Station with a slight advantage. Rampy should get this. Never mind. Lagonis, nice pick. And again, it's all tied up 3 versus 3, but time starting to dwindle now for Team 1.
Thinking nade, lit up, but does win the one with the SMG. Good trade though from Alamau, leaves it in a 2 versus 2. And the roam has now been cleared. Canadian with the shotgun inside of Moto. An iconic position for the smoke to be, and a powerful one at that. Bosco was inside of Armory as well. And with the limited time remaining, Team 1 will try and locate where these players are. The hatch will get popped, but they'll need to go for the trade. Only 20 seconds left. And considering how isolated these players are on the defense, Team 1 might be able to pull this off.
Yeah, trades might not be too easy to pull off here. Canadian's going to throw out those toxic babes as well. Nice Nitro from Bosco. The 2 veterans to close this opening round out. Lagonis now in 1 versus 2. Good position, but Bosco's just better. A good start for Space Station Gaming in the opening round here on Clubhouse.
Solid start for SSG. It's a pretty crazy round on that roam. Almost every engagement taking place off site. But then when it came to crunch time, Space Station able to lean into the time advantage that they had achieved. They played off it well, and it's a good start for them. And again, remembering that their attacks have not been amazing at the moment. So they need to apply this pressure on the defense, get a solid lead so that they can play into that in the second half.
And I think for Team 1, this is, despite losing the round, probably pretty happy for the most part. Winning a lot of those trades, it obviously gets to a point where it goes 4-4, then 3-3, then 2-2. So they're in these exchanges pretty much from start to finish for the entire map. And it just comes down to that 2 versus 2 in the end. And, well, Space Station on the defense and not much information for Team 1 to really play off. Not too much of a surprise to see Bosco and Canadian close that round out in a strong fashion. A lot of the work done early by Fultz and Thinking Nade as well, up above, and it was a very successful roam from SSG. They move over to Gym Bedroom now for this second round. Team 1 won't want to allow SSG to gain too much momentum, because that's what we've seen in the playoffs overall back on day number 1. So many teams getting momentum and just pulling away. Teams that ended up becoming upsets. Empire losing, BDS losing. Momentum's a big thing, guys, and suddenly, you know, those upsets can happen.
Quite an aggressive setup here inside of construction for Space Station Gaming, and Bosco, of course, has those pog mats, but has used the deployable shield in that position alongside 3 ADS devices. So Team 1, as they look to transition control from CCTV over towards the objective, that little obstacle could prove to be quite difficult. We'll have to see how they can deal with that. Levy is holding that position at the moment and might be able to catch someone on the cross, but there's no reason at the moment for SSG to get too rowdy. As Canadian completes his setup inside of Moto, Team 1 approaching from that traditional CCTV side, which has been, for the most part, given for free by SSG. In fact, Fault's not even hard holding cash at the moment. Instead, they are leaning heavily into that cash hold. It's con hold, rather.
And the big thing is time as well. For a lot of teams so far at 6 Invitational, timing has been a bit of an issue and has been a liability for some at times. Team 1, though, if you're getting these roams from SSG, you got no choice but to push through, try and clear them out. Lagonis going to be able to open up this con wall. Repels back up above. Canadian still holding, but of course has to be careful of that logistics hatch late in the round. Has some decent information here. Could go for a peek. Does. The wall bang, though, unsuccessful. Neskin able to avoid.
Good clear from Team 1 on that position. Neskin lit up. Canadian as well, but falls back. And talk about falling back. Fault's rotating downstairs as well. This hold inside of construction proving difficult to clear here for Team 1. A lot of utilities still remaining, and that Thatcher not alongside to help clear that. Instead, in the other side of the map, or on the other side of the map, on the jacuzzi wall, the impact trick misses and the wall gets popped open. Bosco falling back in towards bathroom, using the final reinforcement to lock that position out as Team 1 look to drone in towards site.
Yeah, but Lagonis has taken a bit of a beating. Naskin already also taken some damage. Alamau too. Fultz has taken a bit of damage too for Space Station. Alamau clearing out the remaining ADSs there. 40 seconds left on the clock and time running out here for Team One. Eventually, they are just going to have to force the issue. You're going to be seeing them probably come in from these windows. Gym, bedroom. You got Levy now rotating back over to the jacuzzi wall. Rampy was holding below and, of course, can throw a nitrocell up there if required.
15 seconds left.
We sit, we wait. The smoke's deployed and Lagonis will jump in towards side and try and plant behind the matches. He needs to stick it. We're in red time now. Who can deny from SSG? Rampy from below. That's huge. He gets the down. It'll be an SSG round. It's confirmed. It's 2 in a row.
Yeah, and a good start from Spacestation Gaming. Defensively sound, solid. Team One just didn't even really fire a shot. They couldn't even really get into the building for the most part. A lot of the work being done over towards jacuzzi wall and, of course, gym bedroom windows, but nothing really coming from Team One, just firing blanks for the most part. And for Spacestation Gaming, I don't think they really had to do too much that round, Gus.
Yeah, I think a lot of that came down to their setup. Team One were finding it really difficult to manipulate the map and get control. And once they had CCTV and cache, that was great. But that hold inside of construction wasted a lot of time. And then I think they made the conscious decision to go, hey, guys, let's just go on the balcony, try and jump in and get a plant down. But without control below, that was very, very difficult. Great denial from Spacestation Gaming. Got that planter off, able to win the round quite easily in the end. So it's a really strong start for them, and they'll be looking to take 3 in a row. 3 different objectives in a row would be a fantastic start on their map pick.
Wouldn't be a surprise, though, at least on the defense here on Clubhouse. But if they can get cash and CCTV, they do the world tour. They can then go back down to the basement. And as you said, getting off to the perfect start on their map pick, where really they do have the expectations on this particular map. Coming into the series, you could probably say Team One overall slightly favored based off what we saw in the group stage. But for Spacestation Gaming on Clubhouse, and as the desk pointed out, this is a map that they need to be winning if they're going to be able to take this series out elsewhere in the other maps to follow, which are Chalet and Oregon. Cash and CCTV will be the play. Thinky nade on the bandit. I'll have a bit of a go tricking that wall.
This is a cheeky little mini game that we see every now and again, the good old bandit trick. Alamo approached the wall and got close to see if there was a mute there, trying to sound that one out. But there isn't. And it's Thinking Nade with those batteries in hand, just juggling them one after another. Left hand, right hand. KDS will enter down below. He'll try and disrupt this player. An Ash Charge could push him off this position quite quickly. It does. He gets lit up. Can KDS follow it up with a kill? No. Backs over towards Stock. Thinking Nade unable to have much of an impact on that wall. A little bit of time wasted, but good work from Team One to counter that setup.
And I think the best thing for Thinking Nade is just the fact that he's not dead. He hasn't taken too much damage. It could be worse. We've seen at time players able to get below and be able to really stop that bandit a bit more vigorously. So Thinking Nade's fine. It's like, okay, whatever. They got the wall open. It doesn't really matter too much. It can reposition. And it's just a bit of a time waster from SSG. Thinking Nade repositions now over towards Garage. Tries to, of course, see if he can impact the walls here and really just make something happen. Not going to happen. I think maybe it was just sitting there, honestly. Now just drops into Oil Pit. Will rotate out after giving up below of Garage. Bosco still holds above in rafters. Minute and 25 seconds remaining on the clock. And again, for SSG, it's just a time-wasting exercise that has been quite fruitful. Ooh. Nice shot, though, from KDS. Takes out Fultz, and that's a nice pick for Team One. Gives them a bit of an advantage.
Only 3 drones available here for Team One, so finding intel towards site could prove tricky. And talk about tricky objectives. Clearing Bosco here on the raft is key for Team One, but he has a strong position, the 416 in hand, which is still a pretty damn decent gun despite the recoil change. How many picks can he find? Oh, it's none. Alamau, too good. Levy as well to find one on the board. It's Canadian. Can he clutch this up? He gets 1. Oh, he gets 2. He almost gets 3. And now Thinking Nade needs to clean up the mess that's been made.
Yeah, but he can get this revive onto Canadian. This will make it a 2 versus 3. This is doable. This is winnable. Gets it in time, so they're both up now. EMP's out from Levy. But it could be too little too late now. The fact that the two are up for SSG, Laguna's going to go in for this default plant next to the B bomb. Of course, they've got the watch, though. Levy does get Canadian.
The C4.
Will make things very difficult. The Nitro Cell's nice from Thinking Nade, but there's so much more that he does have to do. Sightlines have been opened up below. He continues the rotation over to Garage, and Levy should be able to get the plant in time. No, denied by Thinking Nade. 4 seconds left. There's not enough time for KDS. Somehow, Space Station Gaming have salvaged this round. There's no time, KDS. You're not getting this one down. Well, he did, actually, but it will be counter-defused. SSG, 3 in a row, guys.
Wow. Thinking Nade and Canadian. What a combo there to close out that round for Space Station. They do the Round the World tour. It's 3 defensive round wins straight for the North American hopefuls, the world champions, looking to establish their dominance here.
And it's all off the back of Canadian getting that double mid in the round when the game's on the line. If he just goes down there without being able to find anything back, that's it. Not going to happen. Look how close Levy was to getting that. What a shot from Thinking Nade. And for KDS, had the option of trying to go for the kill, or, you know, at that point, obviously had no real time had to get that plant down, was never going to be able to get that kill. Just well played from Thinking Nade. Made the right play, Guz, and SSG get rewarded with it. They get the World Tour, as you said. They go back down below to basement. And a perfect start to this series, and that's what they need. Gather that momentum, full steam ahead, take Clubhouse in a pretty simple fashion, and then all you have to do is get one more map.
Now, don't get me wrong, a fantastic play there from Thinking Nade, but the fact that he was allowed to go for that flank, a little bit concerning for Team 1. Now, one of the reasons that may have been allowed to occur was that their drone economy, particularly late into the round, was quite weak. Last I looked, 3 drones left. And again, we don't know exactly where those were placed, but you would have to assume that there wasn't one inside a garage. And if there was, then that's an even bigger blunder by the Brazilians. Either way, though, that's something that we need to track for the remainder of these attacks and see if that's a trend that does continue. Drone work, critically important in competitive Siege. And with the likes of the Mute, Mozzie, and the Vigil on the board, its importance is only heightened here for Team 1.
It's important for Team 1, though, that they don't let their mental drop too early. It's a best of 3. It's nice to be excited here for SSG in the way that they're playing, but it's a long way from being finished. They're going to go through this entire marathon of a series, and for Team 1, there's just one step in the road ahead for them in this match. Not only the map, but also the series as a whole. And the fact is, they're attacking right now against a formidable team that has played Clubhouse many times over and know this map inside and out. It is their map pick, so there's so much against Team 1 right now that if they can even just find 1 or 2 attacking rounds, they can really salvage this first half, go on the defense for themselves, and maybe get back into this one. Nice pick. So that's going to make it really difficult for Team 1. KDS off the board early here, and it's another advantage for SSG.
That is the Ash taken down, putting pressure on the rest of the team. Neskin in particular to clear out Banshee's late round, which could prove to be a little bit costly here for Team 1. Either way, though, now's their opportunity to prove if they can adapt on the fly. They've obtained top control. They can hold this rotate here onto Fultz, but I don't think anyone's watching it over towards the main stairs. Alamau also not aware that the Vigil was nearby, and Fultz can retreat back towards site.
Minute 20 on the clock. And for Team 1, they haven't really been able to have too many fast executes. SSG in their face, being aggressive with these roams, and at times getting these opening picks very early into the rounds. And this is just making life very difficult for Team 1, not being able to execute in the manner they would like to, in the time that they would like to. And that's full credit to SSG, the way they're playing right now. I mean, look at this positioning. Rampy over in CCTV, Thinking Nade's still at top red. They are not giving up these positions. They are going to continue to hold, and at times they can then come back later in the round, flank in from behind. Now, this is where Team 1 have to maybe make a decision, guys. Do they just rush site, knowing SSG don't have all their members there?
Based on their positioning and body language, they either don't know that they're on the roam, or they are making the conscious decision to ignore them and will try to cut them off when they make their way back towards site. But time is ticking down, only 30 seconds left. Rampy on the move, Thinking Nade on the move as well. They've seen that the kitchen hatch isn't open. They'll know that Moto is the play. Rampy ready and waiting to drop down, but he gets taken down. Levy makes his way up the main stairs to shut him down, but with 15 seconds left, this execute will be tough.
Not too much time here for Team 1. It's 4 versus 4, thinking Nate's still going to come in from behind. But Levy, watching and waiting, has found 2 big kills, crucial ones at that for Team 1. Bosco getting another one. And guess who? It's Bosco and Canadian at the back end. They are the dynamic duo for SSG, coming up big in this match on this map. And it's a 4-0 start for Spacestation. And that round just capitulating in the end for Team 1.
It's a complete shutdown by SSG thus far, and these roams are just proving to be a menace with the Mute, the Mozzie, and the Vigil on the board. Team 1 seemingly finding it very, very tough to gain the intel that they required to clear out these positions in that last round. They completely gave up and were thinking about trying to cut them off on the rotation, if they even knew they were there. To be completely honest, not convinced that they did. And there was a good sweep late round there from SSG. The remaining members on site holding down the fort. And it goes down to the timer once again for Team 1. It's been a poor start for the Brazilians thus far. And they try and bring this one back, get a couple of rounds on the attack, and at least make a match out of the first map.
Only 2 rounds in this half remaining. Team 1 obviously running out of opportunities, so at best they can only get a 2-4 half. Now, had we spoken about predictions or thoughts or what could have been for where we thought this first half would go, I would have said probably a 2-4 half to Spacestation Gaming. But right now, obviously, they've got themselves into a predicament where they can only get a 2-4 half here, Team 1. So it's now a matter of do or die in these next 2 rounds. They have to find something. For Spacestation Gaming, though, guys, well, they get 2 free punches, they get 2 free cracks at it to really extend this lead, put that scoreboard pressure onto Team 1, and honestly, maybe just speedrun Clubhouse and get onto the next map.
SSG again committing to this setup inside of Con. I absolutely love it. Multiple ADS devices, the deployable shield, a Banshee as well. Really leaning heavily into the utility, and they're not holding cash as heavy as a lot of other teams are. They are more than happy to welcome Team 1 inside of CCTV. Fultz is playing a little aggressive at the moment, but I expect him to just soft hold this position. Will fall back and lean again into that Con hold. It's up to Team 1 to try and dislodge it.
And this time for SSG, not looking to play towards Cash and top red. That is going to be a position that Team 1 can take. Canadian with Kaid.
Can he get it? So close.
Oh, he might be able to. Lagona's got off of it, actually. Yeah, he got off.
Oh, he tricked it. Ooh. It's a battle of the tricks there. Lagonis, I guess, does come out on top because he doesn't use the exothermic charge. Canadian, I think, will miss it on the second juggle attempt here. We'll wait in here for it. There we go. Con popped open. So Lagonis getting out of top on that engagement, and off screen, Fultz does fall as well. So it's slowly generating a bit of an attack momentum here for Team 1. Already, I would say, better than their last attempt on this objective, but still a long way to go. Great EMP there from Team 1, disabling all of that utility inside of Con, but they need to play off the back of this.
As you said, good EMP from Levy. Oh, that's Thinking Nate taking out as well. That's KDS. We're picking up that kill for Team 1, and finally with a bit of an advantage here and a lot of time remaining. This is the best round attacking-wise we have seen from Team 1 so far. It's only early days, it's only round 5, but improvements slowly from Team 1, the team we expected over the course of this entire series to maybe just edge out SSG. But hey, day 1, funny things happened over there. Funny things can happen over here on day number 2 as well. Rampy over towards main stairs, has got, of course, the dynamic duo still above. Bosco, Canadian, and with them still alive, who knows? Although Canadian taken down, cast the curse. Bosco just sitting inside a bathroom, and he is also shut down. KDS having a big round here for Team 1. Levy is taken very low, but Rampy in a 1v5. This is going to be very difficult.
Lagonis plants on the bed as Rampy tries to make something happen at the top of the main stairs. It's a sharp shot there onto Alamau. It leaves it in the 1v3. 35 seconds to work with. There's a player outside on Jacuzzi, and it's Levy to find the pick. some good adaptation there from Team One, claims their first round on Club.
And probably just a sigh of relief as well for Team One there, because things were getting out of control. The opening 4 rounds, not ideal. More so the first 3 rounds. Of course, the 4th round was an incredible thinking nade recovery. Well, actually, that might have been round 3. But regardless, it was kind of building for Team One, but they just weren't getting the results. Now they do. Now they get the results. There was that awesome EMP, of course, from Levy. As you pointed out, thinking nade gets then taken out immediately after that. And then that basically just opens up the site, makes things a bit easier for Team One. Rampy was in a 1v5. He was never going to be able to clutch that, and never expected to either. Big round win for Team One. They're on the board. Will it be 1 for the half, though, or will they get a second here in what would probably be a very good half in the end, considering the circumstances, Gus? 4 in a row to SSG, which are obviously on the defense, but if Team One can close out with 2 in a row on the attack, suddenly things turn around.
NT7_Lizard on Twitter. SSG came to F ***** play today. I don't know what F ***** means, but he's right. SSG did not have an amazing performance in stage 1 of NAL this year, keeping in mind that Canadian...
Fantastically?
Yeah, fantastically, that's probably the way.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that Canadian entered retirement and Luke jumped in, their analyst at the time. Strong performance from him considering the circumstances, but overall, a bit of a rough time for Spacestation Gaming. They're turning it slowly around here. Slowly is probably the key word because they still have a long way ahead of them, but they are the world champions for a reason. They have been in high pressure scenarios before, and I'm sure, particularly here on Clubhouse, they'll be feeling right at home.
And it's critical that they win out here on Clubhouse. What do we go to Chalet after this, which SSG haven't actually played Chalet for what it's worth in 6 Invitational so far, back over in the group stage. So we don't really know too much about what we're going to get and expect from SSG over there. Could surprise us. Who knows? It is a very, very fun map. I'll tell you that much. One of my favorite maps, so I'm looking forward to that one. But we'll finish off Clubhouse first before we get ahead of ourselves. Neskin, nice push in. That's Fultz taken off the board again, Guz. 2 rounds in a row. And again, Team One have got an advantage.
ADS down below, and he'll clear out that position, but he doesn't get the mute jammer. That will, though, get it the follow-up there from Team One, so it's not the end of the world, and they'll pop that bad boy open. Levy getting taken down, or almost taken down there. Rampy at the master bedroom window, inflicting a little bit of damage there on the roam. SSG have been loving their roams so far, and whilst this might not be as heavy of a roam as we've seen previously, it is still disrupting the attack pattern a little bit here for Team One.
And fun fact here, in the opening half, all 6 rounds, Fultz has been involved in the opening kill or death 5 out of 6 times. Some of those good, some of those bad, of course. Sometimes he got some of those kills, but still an interesting little statistic here for this first half. Minute and 10 seconds remaining on the clock. Team One looking for their 2nd round win in a row. SSG set up defensively nicely here around site for Cash and CCTV. KDS with a sight line in now that Kennel's wall has been opened up. But Team One are in. Bottom of garage. Still going to clear out Bosco, who found the kill onto Lagonas. Alamau's taken out too. Bosco burning up a storm, apparently up in rafters. They have not been able to flush him out, but they have been able to take out Rampy elsewhere, so it's still an advantage right now for Team One.
Canadian in the power position once again with the LMG in hand. Alamau picked up by Team One. Leaves it in a 4v3, but 2 players critically low on HP. Bosco uses the last of his gas canisters on that rafters position, and Team One meanwhile will force themselves to rotate over towards the AC vent. They may well look to jump in the window and get a plant down, but look at the positions held from SSG. This will be very, very tough, and Canadian is still alive. He doesn't miss, or he does miss rather, the jump in over towards Con, taken down, leaving it in the 2-on-2. Thinking Nade top red will shut down Nesk on the rappel, or Neskin rather, and Alamau also shut down the SMG. Oh, it's just too good in the hands of Thinking Nade, and he closes out the round and the half for SSG.
And ultimately, a fantastic half for Spacestation Gaming. 5-1 on their defense here on Clubhouse. Of course, it is their defense. We expected them to do well, but 5-1 exceeds expectations, especially off the back of those last 2 rounds and the way they were playing out. They were up against it. 2 rounds in a row, Fultz gets picked early. 2 rounds in a row, they're at a disadvantage, and they're able to bring it back this time around. Didn't quite do it in the 5th round, but this time managed it in the 6th round. They'll take a very strong lead and advantage going into the second half of this match. First map of this best of 3. Loser goes home. Winner moves on to Empire. And what a start from Thinking Nade 7-4, but ultimately it's been a team effort from SSG. We've seen Bosco and Canadian holding defensively on site, getting kills late in rounds. Thinking Nade in the early part. Rampy's been roaming around. Fultz a bit hit and miss at times, getting opening picks, and at other times being the first one taken out. But that's what you expect when SSG, the way they deployed defensively, that roam game, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For the most part, though, it worked. 5-1 in the half.
Now is the time, though, that we may see Spacestation Gaming tested. A real test on their attack. So far at the 6th Invitational, their attacking win rate is only 33%. Now, keep in mind that on Clubhouse, they're probably going to be a little bit more comfortable, but the attacking win rate has not been great. A lot of that coming down to their inability to clear ramps quickly, and a lot of the executes coming down to the final seconds of the round. Difficult to make assumptions on how exactly these attacks will play out, but that is something to keep an eye on. That timer at the top of your screen, 3 minutes to try and win the round. It goes by quite quickly, particularly if your attack is not in the greatest of form.
Yeah. Just a little bit. So it also comes down to the defense as well, how they're setting up. If you're just going to turtle on site, well, then the time becomes a little bit easier to manage. I mean, as we saw from SSG, the way they were roaming on, especially, you know, the basement side, for instance, they were able to deny so much time because of what they were doing, more so than the other way around. Canadian, of course, has those EMP grenades from Thinking Nade to help open up this Kennel's wall, and it will be opened up successfully with the exothermic charge. Nice and easy, nice and early as well, mind you. Still 2 minutes on the clock. And SSG, after a decent start, that's step 1 accomplished. Now they'll move on to try and get control of Garage from the looks of things.
Pretty strong presence down below here from the defense. In fact, on that last overhead, it appeared as if there were only a couple of members on site. Looks like there's one on rafters, one top red, and one cash at the moment. Levy at the bottom of red stairs, holding that position, and Neskin on the solo roam downstairs. SSG, what will they shape up for? With Rampy opening up the bottom of the garage, I would have to assume that KDS will be the next target here for Spacestation Gaming. The Jaeger will be put under the pump quite soon here. They're trying to open up the line of sight on that ping 1. Lagonis unable to deny it on the second occasion, and now KDS really is exposed, and he gets taken down. Great work there from Bosco on the ace.
Yeah, just really keeping the pressure right there onto KDS the whole time, and eventually Bosco just finds an angle. A minute on the clock. SSG pretty much got what they've wanted here. The plane rafters gone, Candle's wall opened up, a lot of time, and they've got a man advantage because of course, getting rid of the players up in rafters. This is going perfectly right now for SSG. Now it's about that late round execution, like you mentioned before, Guz, and how they can improve in this scenario compared to the group stage where they did falter a little bit.
Intel found here by Canadian. Still 6 drones available for the attack. And with Fultz down below, the pressure can begin to be applied here on the Brazilians. It's looking like they're shaping up to plant next to the chassis. Quite default here on this objective. The cross is being covered from the main breach, and SSG will make the call to go in off the back of those smokes.
10 seconds though, not much time, but SSG are finding all of the picks that are required of them here late in this round. Canadian can start to work that diffuser and get it down as Bosco takes out Neskin. Only one left in con. He is obliterated. And Spacestation Gaming have got match point already. This is a speed run of Clubhouse. And they're just saying, bring on Chalet.
I think that was a good lip read there. Spacestation Gaming already getting ready for the second map. Bring it on. His first map so far has been dominant. I love the intent there from Spacestation to send it deep all the way in towards Cash. was a dominant execute. Bosco with such a great pick there to kick things off and really alleviating a lot of that time pressure we have seen previously from Space Station. It was a wise decision to plant where they did. A C4, I believe it was from Lagonis over towards Con on that run out. May have faltered that default plant, but it didn't in the end. It was a strong round from SSG, and with match point now in the bag, Team 1 will finally respond with attack timeout.
And I think it's too late now. I think it's a little too late here from Team 1 with this tactical timeout. I would have thought maybe when it got to 4-0, that probably should have been the position where you take that tactical timeout. I can understand, though, you're on the attack, it's Clubhouse, slightly defender-sided, all that nonsense, but it's too late now. I don't understand what this timeout's really going to achieve when you're 6-1 down, and Space Station Gaming have got all the momentum. Now, I could end up with a lot of egg on my face if they come out of the blocks after this timeout, win 5 in a row, send it to OT. If that happens, I won't be upset because that'll give us a very awesome game to watch. But I just don't think it's going to happen here. But look, obviously the fundamentals right now for Team 1 aren't where they want them to be. I'm not going to try and pronounce the coach's name.
Give it a crack.
It's like to Chubbs or something. Look, I apologize. I am obviously not Brazilian, but look, might be too little too late for this map. At the very least, maybe you can get the mental in order for the next one, which is, of course, going to be Chalet. So just get the fundamentals going right here for Team 1. Improve a little bit, win a couple of rounds, try and hold this momentum of SSG. If you do end up losing at 7-4, 7-5, then it's a little bit better than a 7-1.
Downstairs will be the play here for Team 1. With the Mute Mozzie on board and the Pulse as well. A lot of information gathering / denial available, and that would suggest that we'll see a roam of sorts. We did see it from Space Station Gaming. It wasn't fully fledged with the castle of years gone past, but it was enough to disrupt the Brazilians and making their life difficult. We can now see Levy up above. He'll be able to distribute those pests as required, and alongside again with those mute jams could make life quite tricky. Jacuzzi wall not reinforced, neither is CCTV. But not as much utility being invested here by Team 1.
And in case of Team 1, I mean, Levy's been good, Naskin's been good as well. We've seen KDS have some good moments. Lagonis and Alamau haven't necessarily been bad either. You look at their stats and you would absolutely not suggest that this is a 6-1 thrashing. It's just honestly been these late round defensive stalwarts of Bosco and Canadian, winning some of those early rounds when it was like a 2v2 down on basement. Like those little moments, SSG are just winning a lot of those 50-50 coin flips, and that's the difference right now here on Clubhouse. Not too surprising, of course, when you talk about the narrative of this matchup, the veterans versus the new guys on the block. Sometimes the veterans, Scuzz, just have more tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah, a lot of veterans on the side of SSG. Not only are they the reigning world champs at the moment, but your likes of Canadian and Bosco. Rich history at the 6th Invitational. In fact, Canadian and Bosco both winning the first Invitational. Canadian for Continuum and Bosco for Elevate on Xbox. A lifetime ago now, but the history does remain. That's why we love these guys. It'll be a tough run for them, though, in the lower bracket, but they can kick things off here with a strong first map, then maybe just never know.
Done.
Yeah, maybe not.
There you guys.
Yeah.
There would be history making at that if SSG can make a real go of this lower bracket run. And honestly, the way that they've been playing here on Clubhouse, you have to say, oh, well, maybe they can. Maybe don't count out these guys just yet. It will be a tough matchup, whoever wins this versus Empire. But I mean, Empire lost for a reason, so they are vulnerable. Anything can happen, and anything can happen in this match if Team 1 can rectify things. Nice pickup from Levy. As I mentioned before, has been a standout for Team 1. 7-4 now, and the opening pick for Team 1 in this match point round for SSG.
Lagonis unable to juggle the hatch, and Canadian on the thermite and pop that open. And talk about popping walls open, Bosco with 3 summers fully opens up a line of sight and an entry point in towards Black Box, and inside of Church, Canadian gets the opener for Space Station. Lagonis just gets absolutely deleted, and now he can think about the plan.
Yeah, I mean, they've got complete church control right now and not too much sightlines from Blue either. Levy, another pick. That's thinking they'd gone. So is KDS, though. Traded back. C4 from Neskin. Bosco's found 2. SSG won the round. They've won the map. How quick was that? 7-1 speed run, 100% completion from Space Station Gaming. Bosco with a triple at the very end of that round. You blink and you miss it. Map 1 done.
I want to know what the SSG boys had for breakfast because, damn, they are looking hot at the start of this best of 3. The analyst desk did a great job at shaping this one up to be a strong map for Space Station, and they delivered. The world champs are here to make a statement, and Team 1, oh my, they will need to bounce back hard.
Oh, I hope our analysts are ready. They haven't gone too far because that was a very quick one from Space Station Gaming. We're going to throw it over to Jess and Dev and see what they think of it.
Thank you very much, Xenox. My God, that was certainly a quick one. An 8-round game for Space Station. Jess, we did say this map was a must-win for Space Station, and I think they took that a little too seriously.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to just absolutely decimate Team 1 when you've got a map that you're supposedly meant to be favorited on. You don't have to go as hard as you did. Mind you, when we got to the 4th round, I thought, oh my God, they're going to pull another 7-0. They've already done it on Clubhouse against Giants. Now they're going to bring Team 1 into the fray and absolutely dismantle them. Team 1 looked probably the weakest I've seen them. And that's not to say that they played bad. I think it was Xenox who brought it up to say, well, they weren't necessarily performing bad, even though the scoreline dictated that. It was just SSG. Didn't matter what time of the round it was, early, mid, and especially late, they were capitalizing on little tidbits of mistakes from Team 1, and that is a team that understands how to manipulate, especially on Clubhouse.
Yeah, it certainly was quite a showing for Space Station, especially particular players. We saw a lot of big multi-kills. We saw a lot of big clutches. Thinking they'd won the 1 versus 2 here to have the 3rd round in a row for Space Station. A very impressive one for him. Canadian had had a big 2K earlier in that round. And to close out, of course, Bosco, I think it was, had that massive 3K on the ace. So a lot of very big moments for the Space Station guys. And at the same time, really just exemplary teamwork, the kind of stuff we would expect from a World Championship team, not the kind of stuff we would expect from the Space Station we've been seeing over the last few months. So this is very exciting now, Jess. We're getting to a point where Space Station are starting to show us what they're capable of.
I'm so glad you brought up Bosco because I've got to alert everyone to something right here, right now. The man walked away with a 2.07 rating on that map alone, and he had 100% cost. If you don't know what it is, exclamation KOST in chat. It will explain it to you. It is unbelievable. That means every single round he had an impact, and that 2.07 rating and 1 entry for him just really put the icing on the cake for me. That was an incredible performance from Bosco. Unbelievable. He played predominantly the hard breach on attack as well. So this is a really, really big success story here and was why they were able to propel into such a strong and dominant force throughout Clubhouse.
And Bosco's had a fantastic season in the NAL, even though Space Station as a whole has not. I think a lot of people have talked about the fact that Luke was subbing in for Canadian as Canadian retired somewhat last minute in stage 1. And the fact that Space Station were kind of lacking that IGL, that voice, that leadership that they rely on, and of course the energy that no one brings to the table like Troy does. And we could see that. We could see Troy, he's back on land, he's back playing for a World Championship, and he's energized. He's so ready, he is so keen. This is his world that he lives in at the Six Invitational on land. This is his environment, and it was so fantastic to see the effect that that had on the greater Space Station roster. But let's turn our attention now to map number 2. Chalet is Team 1's map pick. Now, Space Station, yes, we've just seen a fantastic game from them, but you know, you have to win 2 out of 3 maps in this series, and Chalet is going to be much more challenging than Clubhouse was.
Yeah, I was looking back to some of their results. They managed to beat Beast Coast on it, which I'm not sure how that sort of plays into how much weight we can put onto that one, but they also lost to TSM on it, which is not unsurprising as well. So the results aren't surprising. They don't hold a lot of weight with me statistically as a whole, but you look over to the Team 1 camp, they've lost twice to Team Liquid on this. They lost to Furia, they lost to FaZe, they managed to beat G2 on it, and then they managed to beat FaZe another time in the past couple of months as well. So for me, it's a mixed bag bag of results for Team One, but maybe they've compared their performance and liking of Chalet compared to the liking of it on the SSG camp and gone, actually, we can weigh this up as a pretty positive map for us. I don't know out of all of the maps that would have been the map that I would have picked, but clearly Team One seem to think they have the edge if they want to take it to Chalet.
Yeah, well, it would be a big game for Team One, of course. This is elimination on the line for them and for Spacestation. If Team One fall here, they would be the very first Latin American team to be eliminated from the Six Invitational. And well, Spacestation, of course, have a lot to play for themselves. I feel like coming into this game, we looked at Spacestation, we said they have a lot of potential, but they haven't been realizing that recently. We looked at Team One and we said, look, they haven't proven, like in terms of long-term history very much, because they don't have any long-term history. But what we have seen of them in the last 2 months has been nothing short of astounding, especially in the last 2 weeks at Six Invitational. So it was kind of like the old guard who have a lot of potential but are in bad form versus these newbies who have fantastic form. And I think after map 1, we can really quell any doubts that we had about Space Station's current form. They're fired up, they're ready to go. And I feel like that was one of the key advantages that Team 1 had over them. And suddenly the tables have turned.
If you're wondering how Team One sort of came to the conclusion that Chalet would be their battleground, at least for the second map, which was their map pick, each team gets their own map pick. And of course, then there is a third map, which is a deciding map. And well, after they beat G2 in overtime 8-6, maybe they were feeling hot to trot on it. That is the only bit of analysis I can give you from recent form from Team One on this map. I watched them personally and I thought to myself, you know what? They were leaning a lot on their mechanical skill on that map. You look over to it, they won a heck of a lot of attacking rounds. And now, I'm not to say that, you know, Chalet will always be a little bit attacking sided, which it's seemed to be in a few of the different regions, but that might be why that they're able to get quite a few rounds, because when they put their mechanical skill in the forefront, and especially on attack, they can be very, very dangerous, whereas SSG seemingly playing a little bit more mechanical, especially in the back line of their players. And unfortunately, we had Faults running at windows and doors, so that was a little bit of a downfall for him there and why he might have walked away, maybe lacking in the stats, but that doesn't matter. It is a brand new map. They walked away with map number 1. This is the very first step SSG needs to get themselves back into the grand finals. It is a long, long journey, James, but this is the very first baby step they must take, and it's Team One. Now it's their game to lose.
Yeah, and well, for either of these teams to make it into that grand final, of course, we're mostly looking at Space Station there. This would be, 6 lower bracket games just to qualify for that grand final. This is a marathon, and this is only the first leg of that journey for Space Station as we bring back up the map veto. Of course, Chalet being Team 1's map pick, we've already touched on that quite a lot. And of course, if Team 1 do win that, we will go to Oregon. Are you feeling a 3-map series between these teams, Jess?
You know, I'm so surprised that Oregon wasn't Team One's pick. Like, this is why I was alluding to the strangeness of Chalet, because Oregon was the one I would have picked. And the reason I say that is Space Station has a pretty damn abysmal showing on Oregon. Look over to the Team One camp, go to their maps, and Oregon has been played like 12 times in the past few months from Team One. Mixed bag of results there as well, but that is clearly a map they are very comfortable on. So I am curious why Chalet, maybe they've got something here. Maybe they've pulled something out of the bag. Maybe they're counter-shredding something SSG's done. Whatever it is, it has to be perfect, because I'm going to be honest with you here, James. SSG, they're on fire, and that momentum will carry on into the second map.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a open road ahead of Space Station. All they have to do is put their foot down on that accelerator pedal, and I don't think anything will be able to stop them. 7-1 on map 1 is quite a statement to make. Of course, it is their map pick, and it was a very statistically weak map for Team 1. Chalet is a bit of a different beast. Like you've said, Team 1 have had mixed performances on it. While they did beat, for example, G2, you know, they have lost in the past to, like, Liquid. So this is a do-or-die scenario for Team 1 on the edge of elimination, and this is a chance for Space Station to really start building some momentum through this lower bracket. Let's toss it back to our casters.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for that wonderful discussion. Jess, Dev, round of applause as always. Straight back into things, though, nice and quick to go along with this speed running terminology that we've got going on over here, guys, of course, between Space Station and Team 1. Clubhouse was quick, and we aren't too far away from getting into Chalet.
Yeah, very excited for this match. As Jess said on the desk, Why have Team 1 taken us here? What are they hiding from us? What can we expect heading into this one? There is no doubt that the momentum from Map 1 will be strongly favoring Space Station in this series.
Well, it's do or die now for Team 1 as they head over to Chalet. Their map pick, a map that they've seen a little bit more of, at least recently, compared to Space Station. They should be favored. They should be able to bounce back. But right now, all the momentum well and truly on the side of Space Station Gaming as they look to set and make history once again here in the playoffs for 6 Invitational.
Straight into the ban phase. Team 1 on the attack. So SSG get the first defensive, or the first attacking ban rather, and it's the buck taken off the board. Now Chalet offers a lot of opportunities for vertical play and even horizontal play with the amount of soft destruction that is available. So with that buck taken down, teams will now likely be relying on the sledge, for example, to open up these lines of sight, or players with shotguns. And talk about shotguns, Thatcher holding one there in that operator picture. Take it off the board, and that's not really to be unexpected. Thatcher has been a prevalent ban throughout the 6 Invitational thus far.
Yeah, probably without even looking at the stats, the most banned operator. I couldn't think of really anyone else that would be matching Thatcher in that regard. We did get to see a little bit of him, at least on Clubhouse just prior, so we've seen him. That's nice. Goyo going to be taken off. Not too sure with the Goyo, considering that typically we don't see him too much, at least on Chalet, maybe on some certain sites. Valk, of course, a very, very common ban here. But with the Goyo, I guess probably the library stairs, mezzanine, chimney holds, I guess that's just less shields that can be taken.
Yeah, that would be probably the main motivator. It does make it a little bit more tricky for the defense to set up and will likely force picks like the Frost, for example. Sometimes we even see teams experiment with Alibi to just bring that additional shield to the table. That said, though, SSG heading to bar, so we're expecting this extension. Smoke will bring a shield to the table. 6 pick as well. They're off the castle onto Malusi, which is highlighted in the pre-show, a prevalent operator. Between these two, and with the mirror on the board as well, we can expect the extension above that almost all the teams at SI have been employing so far.
Some of them have adapted differently each time. We've seen some defenses send, I don't know, a couple of players into office, for instance, and extend out and even maybe play sort of that piano area and really sort of get into the face of the attackers if they're coming in from Solarium. But for the most part, you'll see a player sort of top library stairs, one around the mezzanine, and really just sort of hold this library position, which is denying that vertical on top of the bar gaming site, and that's really the most part. You're also denying a lot of time from the attackers. You force them to, of course, top down clear. That's pretty much the idea.
Whoa, Alamau just popped a mirror window in the prep phase. That is so sneaky. I don't think Space Station would have realized yet. That is super unfortunate for the defense, but a great opportunist play there from Alamau. That makes that position really difficult to hold late round.
I will say, though, that for the most part, we don't even usually get to sort of that position late round. A lot of the times for bar gaming, you see a lot of the confrontation above. So, yeah, it's not nice. It's not ideal. But that's sort of like the last line of defense might be a bit weaker here for SSG, but they might be able to close out before that will even become a factor. We'll see, of course, in about 2 minutes whether or not that
another one.
Big.
Come on.
That one, guys, that one's more important.
That one's a little bit more inexcusable as well. SSG distracted. Do not spot that shock drone. And that's Alamau's job. Really well done already. Yeah. Less than a minute into this round, he still has the F2 in hand, a strong gun. He still has 2 smoke grenades as well, which will be really useful in the execute. And so far, Alamau in this tournament has been incredibly impactful for Team 1. And that's why he's bringing out big brain plays and has the mechanical skills to back that up as well.
And Team 1 have been able to get full control of basement down below, make sure there's no SSG roamers that may look to push up fireplace stairs late in the round, try and then swing into bar. That's not going to be the case. Salma has actually been shot from above in the mezzanine. Well played from Rampy. Just denies a bit of time here. Team 1, still a minute and a half, but they've done well for the most part. It does seem like they're trying to almost avoid that library play. We're seeing Team 1 actually play more below guts.
Yeah, this round so far, a lot of it being centered around utility and not many gunfights that we've really been able to capture thus far. With a minute to go, Team 1 establishing some control over towards the mudroom side of the map, but Canadian will shut down Neskin. Does the trade follow up? It does. It's KDS onto Bosco on the library stairs. It leaves it in a 4-on-4. Still a bit of time to work with. Lagonis has the kit in hand. Alamau on the other side of the map. Quite disjointed here. Probing, trying to find something. He does. It's Rampy on that vertical position. Doesn't follow it up though. It's another trade. It's a 3v2 as Levy finds one. He's inside of the site. He narrowly misses the second shot though. Fultz lit up on the smoke. We'll need to try and clutch up big here for SSG.
Very messy round right now from both teams different times. Fultz gets the ping, but he can't find the player he's looking for. Backstore play from Levy is successful. Thinking nade from above though, now over towards the mezzanine. He can get a bit of a sight line looking to the door into bar. 10 seconds left, but it's 1 versus 2. We'll have to probably play for the retake. Not sure he's going to be able to deny this one. No, what a shot from Levy. And a good start from Team 1. From start to finish, they were definitely better in terms of that utility game. Look at this nice little swing. Ooh, cheeky. And a good start for their map pick here on Chalet to get this series back in order for them.
A good attempt there from Thinking Nade to drop down the balcony and try to disguise the sound, but Levy hears it or gets a call and finds the pick. It did look a little bit disjointed here from Team 1. A couple of gunfights here and there that weren't really traded out well. At least I'm on the side of Team 1. And yeah, that was a messy start. That was quite a messy start. That was a little bit difficult to digest.
Well,
and probably
I think
one of the more...
The big thing that caught my eye was the fact that KDS was able to just walk up library stairs, get the initial play, which was Bosco holding that top library stairs position, right? And just completely gets that for free. And then you think, right, Team 1's got library stairs control. But then KDS leaves that position, and then suddenly it allows SSG to retake it, which is what Thinking Nade did. And Thinking Nade just walks up library stairs after it had been taken by Team 1, finds the pick, then gets control of the mezzanine. So very messy from both teams. Also Rampy's position at the very far right side of mezzanine, just outside library, after we saw Bosco die, didn't reposition, wasn't holding the correct angle and gets shut down. So both teams will be better for that round, I think, in the end. Of course, Team 1 the better though, because they did get the round win, and that's what matters more.
Yeah, both teams just getting into the swing of things. Chalet does have structure, do not get me wrong, but compared to Clubhouse, it's a little bit of the Wild West, particularly considering that it is the newest map in the pool, and things tend to get a little bit crazy, especially at international events where metas clash. It's fun and exciting for us to watch, but for the teams in the server, it can be a lot to deal with and quite stressful, and that again is where the mental game comes into play. And Team 1, they'll be tested. Alamau again on the Twitch, taking out utility. He gets one. Evil Eye was traded, or the drone was traded eventually by Spacestation. But again, he's being a pest in the early round, and this is having quite an impact on the ability for SSG to play their game. But KDS, wow, Thinking Nade is dropped, and it's the opener for the Brazilians.
It's the little things, right? We could sort of bring it back to the Clubhouse match, but it was the little things that was going right for SSG. Now the little things are going right for Team 1. These Twitch drone plays, and now just these picks as well. And the way that Team 1 just seemingly are way more aggressive and in this match. They look like they feel more comfortable here on Chalet than they did on Clubhouse. This is a really good start for Team 1, and now it's just all about being able to maintain this momentum that they've already established inside of the first 2 rounds for as long as possible. Shield on piano to try and strengthen this position, but Rampy's feeling a little insecure. We'll fall back over to the bathroom. Bosco on site. Down below in dining is Canadian. What can SSG do to try and even just moving this Evil Eye late in the round and repositions here as Team 1 pushing straight into kitchen.
Good nade there from Team 1. They get rid of the mute jammer, and that allows them to pop that wall open. KDS establishes himself on the doorway. It is barricaded, but as we saw earlier, he's definitely not afraid to go for a cheeky spray through and try and find a pick. Spacestation still do have control above Rampy behind that deployable shield on top of the piano. Levy.
Don't even know if Team 1 care though. They're looking like they want to set up more so for this horizontal take, get control of the kitchen, or get control of this bottom area, but don't worry about master and office. to a degree. They've already opened up that office wall as we saw earlier, and they do have some sort of establishment there. That's why we're still seeing SSG really holding above. Of course, late in the round, it's very difficult to get the plant down if you've got players still above for SSG. So I'm a little bit bewildered, but it's working. Team One are finding these picks, and they are really overwhelming SSG, who are trying to hold two different sites right now.
Oh, Bosco. Oh, the smart glasses. That's huge. And he narrowly misses the second. It's Lagonis on the thermite going in for the plant. Canadian can't see and doesn't hit his shots. KDS trying to cover, and he gets that plant down. That's Lagonis sticking it in the end. The denial from SSG not strong enough. And now they're left in the 3v4 retake. Folks up above needs to find the pick on to K9 as Bosco elsewhere does find one. It's a 3 versus 3, but Fultz on the run out will surely get shut down. The timer ticking down, and it's Levy to eventually shut down the oNe. Canadian and Bosco, the dynamic duo. Can they do it? It's going to be tough. Only 10 seconds left before they need to get on that kit. It's a trade, and Canadian jumps on, but he's shut down. Team One to take the round.
Man, and almost just like the first round before it, it was back and forth. It was messy. It was all over the place, but ultimately it was well done from Team One. Not going necessarily for the more conventional take of Master and Office. They were just more so looking for Office so they could plant into dining. Didn't really care about Master Bedroom at all, or Kitchen. And that pretty much split SSG above and below. Bosco, you mentioned the smart glasses. He was able to get that pick onto Neskin, just narrowly missing the second. And honestly, I'm going to be completely honest, guys. When I saw Canadian and Bosco still alive in a 2 versus 3, I thought, hey, there is a chance, a very big one at that. They couldn't quite clutch it. And as I said before, Team One, they're winning these key moments now, which is what they weren't able to do over on Clubhouse. And what a start, by the way, for Levy. 6-1, backing up his awesome performance on Clubhouse.
Yeah, 1.68 rating thus far for him in this series and a 78% cost. So he is having a consistent impact in these rounds for Team One. On the side of Spacestation, I did like some of the adaptation we saw then, and I was really hoping, as biased as this is going to sound, that Warden play was going to work, but unfortunately it didn't. Interesting Banshee there from SSG, and some vertical as well, trying to deny this west main position, maybe trying to prevent players from vaulting in there and taking control. Big shout out to Medics, our observer. Give us a twirl, mate. Give us a spin on the obs. Love your work. Spin around. There we go. We all love Medics. Put some love hearts in the chat. Absolutely popping off on the obs, as always. And a pretty scary extension, if I do say so, here from SSG.
And the thing to remember as well, and I do want to point this out, and I know that Jess also touched on it briefly, different regions have different sort of styles, and what works in some regions maybe doesn't work in others. So you look at like the LATAM region, for instance, and over there, Chalet is, for whatever reason, a bit more defensive sided. But for the most part, globally, and at least here at 6 Invitational, it has, for the most part, been attacker sided to a pretty decent degree. Like, it's like a 40% defensive win rate. So for SSG, they don't have to necessarily get off to an amazing start here on Chalet defense. If they can pinch 2 rounds, I think that they will be more than happy at a 2-4 deficit, then going on to their attack in the second half.
Well, it's been the talk of the town so far. It's Alamau on the Twitch. Those drones having a huge impact early round here, and with that mirror on the board, he'll be looking to maybe deny those mirrors. Faults, though, tries to deny the player outside the double window. Misses that shot there with the K1A and will back off. Alamau's in a position here, maybe to cut this off, but Rampy seems to know that he's there. He himself will back off. It's a bit of a standoff on this game side of the map, keeping in mind that this is a bedroom defense for Spacestation.
Well, you got to remember that on Chalet, a lot of the sites, you pretty much don't play on site. I'm pretty sure I can almost say all of them, just for the most part, they are all played off site. Maybe you could say bar gaming at the very end of the round, you do fall back to the site, but that's pretty much the extent of it. So nothing too crazy right now from Spacestation, thinking Nate's still just holding this mezzanine position, waiting for someone to push up fireplace stairs. Rampy gets a bit of a peek, doesn't elect to re-peek and shoot. KDS actually ended up getting the kill onto Thinking Nate over towards the mezzanine. Rampy got to win this, and he does. He takes out Neskin. That's at least one back. Immediately, the FSSG couldn't get the second onto Alamau, but Fultz will get the trade. And it's now 3 versus 3. Shots ring out, and everyone's pretty happy in the end. that no one is behind. 40 seconds left. Canadian pops up and takes out KDS down below in basement. And SSG with an advantage to maybe take out round number 3.
You can never count out Canadian to have a huge impact when he is alive in the server. Levy and Lagonis. Fultz, though, is the one to find that pick. Levy now at the top of library stairs, taken down, and it's Canadian. Who else? Space Station with a strong response.
And a needed one at that, because the way that Team 1 have been playing so far in Chalet, they've looked really, really good, and much better than they did on Clubhouse. They're already looking way more comfortable here on Chalet, and you don't want to get this game out of hand too quick, too early for SSG to bite back in the 3rd round, get a defensive round already on the board, and be like, okay, there's one. We know what we need to do now. We're just getting our feet warm here. They are starting to warm up, and that's not good news for Team 1. Good start. Ultimately, for SSG on the defense here for Chalet, you know, getting one round out of the opening 3 isn't really that bad. We head over to Bar Gaming now, which statistically over the course of 6 Invitational, it hasn't actually been as good as originally I thought it was going to be, guys. Coming into SI, I thought Bar Gaming was going to be a much better site defensively, but of the 38 rounds played, it only has a 37% defensive win rate. That is way less than what we saw, for example, over in APAC, where it was statistically way higher. So I'm a little bit surprised as to how this has been playing out at SI, but I also love to see attacking prowess get rewarded. Sometimes some maps are just a bit too defensive-sided for my liking.
Never tell me the odds. Who knows what Space Station can do in this round. Canadian again on the mirror, looking to extend. We'll need to be mindful of Alamau on Twitch. And most excitingly, we are seeing a return of the Warden, Thinking Nade, bringing that operator into the fray on this occasion. I love you, medics. Always observing Alamau, just ready and waiting for him to have an impact in these rounds. A lot of utility that he could deal with. The mute jammers, the mirror windows, the ADS devices, all can be taken down by those Twitch drones. So keep an eye on him again to have an impact. Space Station Gaming committing to quite an aggressive hold up above here. The extension into library lights, signs of light. What am I trying to say here? Lines of sight established as I splutter out my words, and the final of those mirror windows has been deployed. Keep an eye on Rampy. I think he is the one to have an impact here. It's a common position behind that reinforcement on this balcony, but he needs to go big.
Well, he doesn't have a shield, though, over towards the mezzanine chimney. There's only the one shield over towards top of library stairs, and this is what we're seeing from SSG on their defense compared to what we're used to seeing from other teams. A lot of other teams are employing, say, the 2 shields versus SSG, who are actually playing more for like these nitro cells. Like, they've got 3 nitro cells instead rather than the shields. So, and we have actually seen that mezzanine position a couple of times. Rampy's been eliminated from there. Thinking Nade's been eliminated from there. It does feel like maybe a bit of a weak spot right now for SSG. Fultz holding over towards top of library. Pretty stock standard default hold right now from SSG. And Team 1, they got plenty of time. They'll get to work on this office wall, open it up, get the sight lines over towards top of library stairs, as well as over towards library itself and the mezzanine.
A more on meta map control take here from Team 1. No cheeky antics at the bottom of library stairs or mudroom on this occasion. Instead, control established inside of piano and office. Lagonis, he has a flash, ready and waiting. Alamau, who's going to pop the mirror again. Thinking Nade under the pump. So many angles he's exposed to. He knows that he needs to try and play for his life, but he's alive for now. Team 1 haven't quite dealt with him just yet.
Still 5 versus 5, one of the slower rounds when it comes to finding this opening engagement from pretty much either team. This might suit SSG, but that's not going to help. Lagonis getting the pick onto Rampy gives them a very significant advantage when they need it the most late into the round. Thinking Nade getting heavily pressured, but the rotation and the repositioning has been perfect. Just hasn't been able to get the pick that he's looking for. So close yet so far. KDS with a double, and it all just falls apart quickly for SSG. Bosco, Canadian, the duo. No, that's going to be Bosco down. Canadian left up to a 1 versus 4. Over towards Barstock, has got some holes, has some sort of...
Oh no, don't tell me.
Use it down. Surely he can't make one more. Final big play. No. but he's got a few more plays still in his bag of tricks over the course of SI. Does Canadian. You can sense it just bubbling.
The nice tries fly, and it was a good attempt there from Canadian, but the defense above completely dislodged from Team 1. The mirror was popped, there was a break in the action, and then Team 1 sprung onto SSG. A good round for them in the end, well traded out despite a little bit of a scary end to the round. But that sort of overwhelming, I guess, approach to the objective late is what we have come to expect here on Bar. It pays dividends for Team 1, and they are looking quite good at the moment.
Yeah, a 3-1 start. I mean, it is on the attack, so you kind of expect them to do well. We head over to Wine Cellar and Snowmobile. Just Wine Snow, as I like to call it. The least played site in Chalet at SI, actually. A lot of teams have pretty much come to the understanding that it's not great for the defenders. It's just too open, too many ways in for the attackers. You got to roam above, but is there much reason to? And there's so much that you got to do, essentially, for the defenders here. And it is going to be very difficult for SSG. But if they can steal this site in particular, then 3-2 puts them in a great position heading into the second half.
10 seconds to go.
Cheeky pick here from SSG. They didn't need to go down below. They would have had a lot of their options unlocked considering the round history. So they're backing themselves here, maybe trying to throw off Team 1 a little bit. We'll see what they can bring to the table. It's an aggressive roam. Spacestation loving these roams so far. Rampy on top of the hot tub. Considers a spawn pick, but does fall off at KDS aware. Yeah, KDS probably would have won that one. Who knows? That gunfight does not come into fruition as Rampy and Fultz now will look to team up and see what they can do off-site.
Well, what's the saying, guys? You miss all the shots that you don't take. You know, if you don't try, who knows what's going to really happen. So, you're right, though. Probably not worth the risk, especially when you're down 3-1. You need to find an avenue back. But that's the thing, right? It's risk versus reward. That's Chalet in a nutshell. Some teams will go for the aggressive peaks. Some teams will throw a nitrocell out the window. Neskin cops one to the face. That's the start that SSG were looking for. We could see it in their positioning, in their playstyle, peeking these windows, throwing these nitrocells, and being aggressive, making it difficult for Team 1 to even just enter the building.
Rampy really is the last hope here on the top floor for SSG as Team 1 established drones around the map to cut off some of these rotations that the defenders will need to go through if they want to make their way back towards the site. Smart play here from Canadian, deploying these ADS devices late into the round, and that is to try and counter Alamau. Keeping in mind that he has been sending in these Twitch drones early, trying to dislodge a lot of this defensive setup. So I really like that from Canadian, and you come to expect that from the man. So much experience. He knows exactly what he is doing, and he's playing really well here, trying to counter that Twitch pick.
And the thing about Wine Snow, and I'm just starting to realize this as we see it play out, but you need to roam above if you're going to be able to have a successful defense of it, and that's what we're getting from SSG, which is not a surprise to be seeing them roam. So they're pretty much playing to the only strength that this site can really employ for the defenders, and they're doing it perfectly right now. 5 versus 3. It's a masterclass on how to defend Wine Snow. Get early, aggressive kills. Roam around, don't play on site, make it difficult for the attackers to even get here. And you can see it in the time itself. There's only 40 seconds left.
What will Team 1 do here? Bolt has a drone captured, gaining intel off site, but Team 1 are finding the picks meanwhile. They have site control. Lagonis will go for the plant. Levy is low on HP. Alamau will need to step up massively with the F2. Currently prone. Surely can get swung, but no, he wins the pick there onto Thinking Nade. Swings and finds the second. It's Fultz up above. No Nitro Cell in hand. He sees the feet though, and that's Levy taken down. This is still winnable for Fultz.
Oh, if Alamau just peeked there, he dies. He just straight up dies. Not much time, so Fultz is going to be very urgent with his positioning here. Nice swing, gets the headshot, 1 versus 1. Knows where the diffuser is, but he's got to go right now. Make the play, down into Wine. He can swing, doesn't quite catch the player. He fakes it. One last peek, not going to come though from Lagonis. Fultz has got to swing. He's got no time left now. Unfortunately, it is going to be a round win for Team 1. Lagonis even winning the 1v1. And that is pretty much Snow Wine in a nutshell, Guz. You can win that early game, you can win that roam game, but once the attackers get on site, there's so many sight lines to flush out those defenders.
Really well played there from LMAO late in that round. It was a decent start for SSG. They got the opener, they had decent control of sight, but then 2 picks snowballed the momentum in favor of the Brazilians. Once that plant was down, I think SSG knew it was going to be really, really tough. A valiant effort from Fault. 2 massive kills above, but Lagonis, so disciplined in the post plant, holds on and even wins the fight there in the dying seconds. Quick look at that final kill cam, beats the swing, and Team One get the round.
And Team One now in a position to sort of do what SSG did to them on Clubhouse. A 5-1 first half. That's essentially what happened. Of course, the difference was SSG were on the defense, Team One were on the attack, but different maps, of course. You know, Clubhouse, a bit more defender-sided, Chalet, a bit more attacker-sided. So it's pretty much, for the most part, this same sort of thing. Final round of the half, Team One, they've looked good on their attacks. SSG have by no means looked out of this. They've had good moments. They just haven't been able to win those critical key moments as much as they did over on Clubhouse. They can turn that around if they can win this final round of the half. As I said before, it'll look good going into the second half on their attack. They can bring this one back easily.
And maybe you are just joining. Maybe this is your first time watching Team One. I assume most of the viewers have probably heard of SSG. They are the current reigning world champions, but focusing in on Team One, the current leaders on this second map, they are a pretty unknown quantity at the moment. A pretty fresh squad here, find themselves thrusted into the 6th Invitational, and so far they haven't been posting absolutely mind-blowing performances, but by their expectations and by the expectations of many, have been performing very, very well here. Arguably, maybe not the favourites heading into this one. Probably difficult to make that argument considering that SSG themselves are not in the greatest of form. So definitely a bit of a dogfight between these two. But the Brazilians putting up a huge effort so far here on the second map. Remembering that they got absolutely stomped on the map 1. It was a 7-1 victory for SSG. So the bounce back, sure, its attack on Chalet has still been great.
Yeah, and I think the main thing to remember for Team One is they, at one point, were up 4-2 in the group stage before losing their final 3 games to Liquid. They lost to Cyclops, and they lost to FaZe, which was very close to 8-7. So they were up there. And yeah, maybe towards the final day, just slowed down a little bit, ended up costing them a top 4 position. But this is a team that's had some decent wins. They've looked really comfortable here at 6th Invitational, despite the, the age of the squad as a team, being put together, and let alone even the players' age. They've been good. And right now they're taking it up to, of course, SSG, which is, the veteran lineup. They've been through it all. They've got all of the tricks, and we saw that on Clubhouse and what they're still capable of, especially the likes of Canadian and Bosco. But this is their time to shine now for Team One. They've got to be able to put the foot on the throat, go 5-1 up in the half, and then capitalize in the second half on their defense. It is their map pick after all.
Bosco needs to be careful of his tippy toes here. Alamau prone on the drone hole. This is a classic angle. Still exists post rework, and he gets the kill. He gets the kill. Bosco taken down. That deep angle no longer will be viable for SSG. When the smokes come out, denying this plant will be tough. They will need to rely heavily on this above control. Canadian senses that he needs to get a little bit more aggressive and repositions inside of kitchen, but he does it again. Alamau, he gets a second, and now the plant can go down.
Oh, well, that's probably the round over, unless Canadian has the really big tricks in his trick bag. Rampy's still alive to play Robin to the Canadian Batman, who's taken a bit of a beating. So is Lagonis. Not much time, of course. That diffuser down. A toe has been spotted, but Rampy's the one that goes to the grave. Peek from Canadian, unsuccessful. KDS will get the headshot, wins that trade. Team One. A very, very flawless first half. 5-1 here on Chalet on their attack.
Not quite flawless, but as close as you can basically get. And overall, Team One looking great. Just quickly reflecting upon that last round, though. What the hell is Alamau doing? That is absolutely insane. Now, there may be some people in chat going, well, why didn't thinking they just call it out, right? Or Bosco, rather, the first pick. Surely he should have just called that out and they would have known. But he may not have seen the bullet trails. It may not have even been called out correctly. Difficult to tell. There's no kill cam in competitive Siege. So it's not like he could sit back and say, oh, yeah, guys, it's outside of the drone hole. He may just really not have had much of an indication, which is really unfortunate there. for Space Station Gaming. That said, though, mistakes happen. They'll move on. It was a great play from LMAO, and now they have the attack. They can try and bounce back. I have no doubt that Space Station's mental is one of the strongest here at Six Invitational. They have made comebacks before. Let's not forget about last year. They made the biggest comeback of them all in the grand final. So still a big opportunity, I feel, for them to bounce back here on Chalet.
Yeah, and look, it is bouncing back because of the fact that it's 5-1. That's a pretty extensive lead Team 1 have been able to create on their attack. But the fact that SSG are going on the attack themselves means that there is a bit of credence here that they can, of course, bring it back relatively comfortably, to be honest. And it all just comes down to how proficient their attacks are here on Chalet. You know, they haven't played it that often. It was mentioned on the desk, and we've probably touched on it a few times, that Team 1 have played Chalet way more than SSG have at least the Six Invitational and even the recent few months. So, and we're seeing that really, just the little things from Team 1, like these drone holes, as you mentioned, every little thing like that, it just comes from having played the map over and over again in recency. Team 1 on the defense, I actually would imagine, should look pretty formidable here based on the fact that they have actually played Chalet quite a few times. They should know the little tricks of the trade here. And they are going to set up above, as expected, Master and Office above the kitchen dining site, which is the actual site.
The Jackal being brought out here from Faults. Now that should aid SSG in clearing out some of this roam that has been established by Team 1. He makes his way over towards the front door and will activate that Inox scanner. Rampy, meanwhile, though, taking control of the top of library stairs. He does have teammates to assist, but they're staring down the barrel of a pretty scary setup. It's Levy inside of Office and a Rooney Gate, a Sawyer Gate covering that soft wall to his right. His left also has been reinforced and electrified. But Bosco with the Maverick can torch that open, and SSG can begin to establish a foothold.
Yeah, and the idea is to flush out these players in Office, plant at the half wall, bit of a default plant. Levy, though, has been a star for Team 1. KDS, another opening pick, has 3 for the map now entirely. Fultz is gone. There goes the Jackal. And a good start on the defense here for Team 1. Could you imagine back-to-back 7-1s, guys? It's a possibility.
It is. And Space Station look to dump utility inside of Office. Levy repositions himself over towards the K9 door. He avoids most of that. In fact, he is still full HP. With the utility cleared, though, he's going to be under the pump, and he does want to get out of that position. He does so successfully. No one from SSG cutting that down at the moment, but Rampy does cut Lagonis off, leaving it in the 4-on-4.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look for Nitrocell. So Neskin's the only one that has a Nitrocell. If anyone from SSG does try to push to that half wall, go for a plant, you would want Neskin. But unfortunately, he's not there. He is playing below in basement. So SSG now actually have been able to get above. I almost got so confused. I said half wall plant, but they are, of course, having to go below. Get that Office control, and then they can, of course, get the plant below on site into dining. 3 versus 3, 20 seconds left in the round. SSG finally been able to get full above control. Now they make their way down. Rampy through trophy stairs, trying to find these sightlines. The drop down from Canadian is perfect onto KDS. Doesn't quite beat out Alamo, though, and there's not much time. Thinking Nade, with the diffuser in hand, has to just rush onto the site and start to stick it immediately behind the bomb. Has Rampy for cover, covering well, nicely, but couldn't beat out Alamo. What a shot! Alamo clutching the round. Almost single-handedly. I think he gets a 3K when it was all said and done.
Not only has Alamau been one of the star players for Team 1 in this tournament, but he has been one of the standouts in the entire tournament. He has just been an absolute beast, and he has been stepping up massively here on Chalet. A couple of huge rounds from him. The impact plays on the Twitch earlier on the attack, but he is no slouch on the defense either. A cheeky hold above there from Team 1 nets them the win. Alamau sweeping in late. And you can just see how happy he is with that result. Team 1, wow, they are on match point. And like you said, Jake, we may well see 2 7-1s in a row, which would be absolutely ridiculous.
7-1 Space Station on Clubhouse, 7-1 Team 1 on Chalet, and then maybe an 8-7 on Oregon. Why not? It would be fitting. It really would be. No timeout, by the way, from Space Station Gaming, so they've elected to not take that. despite the fact that it is match point. Maybe it's a little too late. They've potentially let this one get away from them here, as it is 6-1 now, and it is a big hole that they find themselves in here on Chalet. But full credit has to go to Team One. This is the Team One show right now. Levy, Alamau, they are setting a big standard here on how to play Chalet. KDS as well has stepped up big time. And this is what I was trying to get across at the end of the Clubhouse game. To me, it didn't feel like Team One were playing that badly. Their stats really kind of showed that as well. They really weren't that far behind in terms of the raw stats. They just weren't winning those clutch moments, and SSG were, as you expect, on Clubhouse. And the roles have just completely reversed here on Chalet. Match point, SSG will make their way in for what could be the final time in this match.
Could be. But the wild card for SSG in this round, it has to be Faults. We're bringing the Ying into the lineup. And this could make the fireworks late in this round. Maybe SSG could employ those Candelas to clear above in those library positions, or fortify their position late round and prevent Team One from trading out picks. Either way, excited to see how this plays out. We have a roaming smoke from Team One, which at the best of times can be a little bit questionable, but it's Alamau, and he's currently going 10-4. A lot of impact plays from him, so you've just got to back him in these situations.
And you almost have to also back in SSG to turn things around. You don't want to ever count these guys out. Despite the scoreline being 6-1, we know what they're capable of. Now, this is also what I was talking about earlier when SSG were holding this chimney position. They had no shield, and we saw Rampy thinking they'd both kind of suffer around here, losing their lives a little too easy each time. So this is a much more common setup from Team One compared to the way that SSG were playing it. And it's probably why I'm not too surprised right now to see this scoreline. Team One showing their proficiency here on Chalet.
Map control established on the office side here for SSG, but they're yet to really make their mark over towards Library. KDS is in a very aggressive position, looking to play off Levy. From that K9 balcony, Canadian will cook a flash and send it deep, trying to burn any potential utility in that position so that they can get rid of this deployable shield. Canadian does find a pick. Levy taken down on that pillar position, and here are the Candelas. Faults will look to go deep, but KDS is still tucked away. No, he's not. Bosco says left, right, good night, and now it's Lagonis and Alamau to try and clutch it up.
Much better from SSG. Off the back of those Candelas, can push forward, try and gain establishment of library. Bosco in the window is able to get that kill, and this is just a perfect attack. We've been waiting a little while for this sort of level of attack from SSG. Obviously, well, a while, but they've only just been in the second half, only one of round anyway. Faults will take out Lagonis, so SSG get one back. Alamo still alive. I mean, he can make a 1v5. No, never mind, not happening. Thinking Nade will get that kill before he could get back down the library stairs. But it's only one round, and they need so many more, Guz. But hey, if anyone can do it, Spacestation can.
There's a great pinch from Spacestation in that round over towards the library position, and it was all off the back of Canadian. A fantastic opening pick on that K9 balcony really opened up the round for his team on that attack, and they were able to steamroll that momentum into shutting down the rest of Team One. And eventually Alamau on that smoke roam was left in the 1-on-5 and not a whole lot that he could do. Still a long way though for Spacestation to recover here. A big gap. 4 rounds, in fact, will need to be won in a row to head this match into overtime. But you just can never count this team out.
No, you can't. And again, I mean, I'll use the same phrasing here, but the stats for SSG also aren't too bad. Everyone's pretty much showing up. Everyone's had some decent moments here on Chalet, despite the fact that it's a 6-2 scoreline to Team One. It feels weird, but it doesn't feel to me, guys, as a 6-2 game right now. It feels closer. I guess that's a part of a best of 3 because we've seen SSG win on Clubhouse. You feel like they're somehow even with Team One. It's because they are ahead. over the course of the entire best of 3. They're up still 1-0 in the series. So for Team 1, it may be match point and it may be 6-2, and this may all look great, but all it's going to do is just tie up the series and send us over to Oregon, which will be the deciding map. Snow Wine will be the site of choice, which, as we established before, is not always the best option for the defense guns, but Team 1 feel comfortable here.
Spacestation Gaming know exactly where that objective is, and Faults will enter from the main garage. That Inox scanner could be useful in tracking down some of these defenders like KDS playing on that Vigil. Bosco will use the Alamau drone hole. Try to get his revenge maybe on this Roma. Doesn't see him cross though. I believe he was a little bit late to that position, but there's the ping from the Jackal, and KDS says, you know what, boys, you can have that. I'm going to go back down towards the site.
Well, Bosco does find one. I wonder if that was the drone hole. I don't think so. No, certainly wasn't from over towards position near Chimney. 2 minutes on the clock and an opening pick for SSG off the back of course, their last round win, and can build momentum, especially on the attack for Chalet. So this is by no means impossible for SSG to bring this back, send it to OT. If Team 1 is capable of, winning multiple rounds on their attacks, well, SSG are as well. It's just all about finding their footing here on Chalet, especially on the attack. And it's just looking like they're starting to do that.
2 hard breaches bought here from Spacestation Gaming. One of those, Bosco, the Maverick, on the main garage side of the objective, will work that wall quite swiftly. Alamau on the roam. SSG have a Nomad, so they should be able to shut these roamers down. It's Neskin up above as well. That leaves only 2 members in sight here, but SSG are committing to the roam clear with just over a minute to go.
Oh, Fault's got to win those shots. He does in the end. Alamau is eliminated. Neskin was just behind him, but wasn't able to get the trade. Neskin actually hasn't found a kill yet. Only the 5 assists to his name. 55 seconds, and it's a 2-man advantage now for SSG, pushing onto a site that has so many sightlines already opened up and established from those below. Bosco on the Maverick knows there's a player over towards the blue corridor. 40 seconds, and this is surely going to be an SSG win. They smoke him off in blue. He'll actually push through. May elect to swing. Still one over towards Snowmobile as well. Lugonis is gone. Bosco gets 3 for the round. Nice C4 from Neskin, but too little too late in the round. And SSG are here on Chalet. It's taken them a while, guys, but they're just starting to wake up to the snowstorm.
And once again, the defense will prove that down below on Chalet is very, very difficult to hold. The roam was a valiant effort from Team 1, but once SSG were able to open up these lines of sight on the hard walls, the entry points as well, Canadian could just stroll in towards the site. He had the full backing of the rest of his team, and they just immediately shut down any threat to that planter. Well played by Spacestation Gaming. And Team 1 will probably not go back down there anytime soon. They'll try and find refuge on a site that maybe they have previously won, at least in the future. For now, though, it will be Bar Gaming reattempted.
Well, Kitchen Dining is the site that they won initially, which is obviously still locked, I believe, for at least one more round. So they are going to reattempt Bar Gaming, which was unsuccessful prior to the previous round. So 6-3 on the scoreboard. Team 1, well, let's just say they lose this, becomes 6-4. Then they go back to Kitchen Dining. So they'll then be able to close out this second half on Kitchen Dining, regardless of the outcome here. So for the Team 1 fans, this is by no means turning into like an SSG history performance with a big comeback, 6-1 down to close out the series. I strongly believe if they can't win it here on Bar Gaming, they should have enough opportunities over on Kitchen Dining to be able to close out this map. But for SSG, it's still good that they're bringing this back, finding some form to close out the map if we do go to Oregon.
Never going down without a fight. That's the motto for Spacestation Gaming. That was the motto that they brought to the grand final last year. For anyone that maybe missed that or wants to reminisce a little bit, they brought back that match against NIP when it started to look a little bit dire. Such a huge performance from them then. And now the same squad is looking to make that miracle run through the lower bracket. And that begins here against Team 1. Rampy sets himself on the entry. Focuses in on his monitor. No one is down below here from Team 1. There won't be an engagement soon, but keep an eye on him to maybe step up a little bit more on this matchup so far. Not the strongest in the frag department, but again, he can still have a huge impact. Those 3 ash charges can create a lot of verticality, can clear utility as well. But it's Alamau to get the opener, and it's Rampy taken down. The roaming smoke gets the opening pick.
No. It's been a very difficult series to watch for Rampy. 7 and 13 over the course of the 2 maps. If we also combine Clubhouse, has the lowest rating, I think, out of all of the players, definitely on the side of SSG. Just hasn't really been able to really get going. And if it doesn't happen here on Chalet, he'll have to hope it happens over on Oregon if it does go there. SSG down a player. The last 2 rounds that they won, they were the ones that found the opening picks. Now they're going to have to reverse that trend. They're the ones down. Can they still win the round, though?
SSG, they now have control of Office. 4 members up for this attack. But a fair amount of utility that can still be used. Faults thinks about cooking and Candela. Instead, we'll swap that out for a smoke. Candela to follow up, though, but it's KDS inside of Office once again in an aggressive position, a long line of sight. That's over towards the piano double door. Doesn't catch that player, though. Faults just runs straight through. Faults just runs straight through. And now KDS and Neskin are left to try and clutch.
Oh, he does know. Oh, what a double kill from Faults to take out the player at Mezzanine and then the player inside of Library. What a turnaround from Space Station Gaming. 6-4, guys. But I do sense that Kitchen Dining is where we will be heading and then holding until either it's OT or a win for Team 1.
This is the round where Space Station really need to show what they are made of on their attack. So far this year, their attack win percentage, both in NAL and the 6 Invitational, has not been great. And we know that Kitchen Dining for them just overall has not been amazing. They struggled on their defense. They didn't win their first attack. And now this is their chance to bounce back. If they win this round, they will be positioned really nicely to head this one to overtime. Team 1, they know that. They know that for sure. A very well-timed time out will look to try and hold that momentum and prepare the team for what is a critical round.
And I will say I can actually see the fact that Kitchen Dining has been selected as well over on my second screen here. So tactical timeout for Team 1, but Kitchen Dining will be the play as expected, really. I mean, it's the only site they've been able to defend successfully so far, guys. It makes the most sense. Also, over the course of SI, Kitchen Dining has had the most success for teams. 57%, in fact, of the 37 rounds played on it, because of what teams have been able to establish, which is this hold above master office. It's just been working out so well for the majority of teams that have been employing it. So pretty good tactical timeout. This is a really good one. If I was maybe a little harsh on their Clubhouse timeout when it was 6-1 or 5-1 or something, this is much better. This is fine, because now you're going into 2 rounds, guys, where you've got 2 opportunities to close out this map.
Space Station again will commit to the Ying. Faults 6 picking onto that operator jumping off the Jackal. So expect some late round chaos. And if we saw what we saw in the previous round from Faults, who knows just how much he'll be able to do, how much damage he'll be able to inflict. In that previous round, he sent it deep. The Candela's supporting his push deep in towards the chimney or the pillar position, and then even converting that into library control as well. And I could envision a scenario here where those Candelas prove fruitful in trying to clear above, or maybe late into the round as SSG prepare for a plant. Either way, though, he is going to be a key player to watch in this round.
I feel like almost every single player is going to be a key player to watch this round. You know, we speak about Rampy. Is he going to fire off? This could be the moment that Rampy just goes and gets like a 2 or a 3K on the Ash and redeems himself. Or Alamau. It's the Alamau show right now, 12-1 and 7. As Levy has just gone a little cold in the last few rounds, 11 and 8 now. KDS as well, 8 and 8 after a really good start. So right now, it does feel like Team 1 have just kind of slowed their approach versus SSG, who are really storming home here on Chalet. So all the momentum with SSG. We'll see if that tactical timeout has changed anything. But I will say, if SSG can win this round, send it to 6-5, Team 1 will be sweating that final round in regulation. We'll see how it plays out here.
An aggressive entry through basement here for Rampy once again, but on this occasion he has Thinking Nade to assist, and with those air jabs placed around, players like Neskin, for example, on the Malusi may find it difficult to flank these positions if they so desire. Space Station, satisfied that lobby's quite clear, will now work that office wall. That's Bosco's job on the Maverick, and Fultz is on the K9 balcony, ready and waiting with those Candelas in pocket to pounce. Levy is holding this position on the half wall once again. Key last time. He was able to soak up a lot of utility from Space Station and stayed alive, able to rotate back over towards bedroom. Space Station will not want to allow him to get away with that once again.
Yeah, really just trying to establish control of office, which makes planting inside of dining just that little bit easier. Minute and a half remaining on the clock. Obviously, SSG aren't going to want to leave this too little too late. A very different style to how we saw Team 1 attack this site, where they went for more of a 50-50 split. They had a lot more down below, horizontal, pushing onto site, whereas SSG don't really have too much below at the moment. It's all of their focus is above towards office.
Team 1 has sensed the danger that Space Station are inflicting and have now resorted to falling back over towards Solarium, but Fultz with the Candelas. Can he do something massive here? He sends them out. He rushes in towards bedroom. There's a player to his hard right. Does he? No. He gets timed, and Levy will win the fight. It's a 5v3. Team 1 on top at the moment.
Oh, Thinking Nate gets a crucial pick. Rampy needs to find a kill. Need to get one on the board here. Drop down. He doesn't know. Yes, he did. But it was immediately traded by KDS. It was a little sloppy, but he got the kill. Leaves it up to Canadian and Thinking Nate. Match point. 30 seconds. Those are the stakes here in this match, of course. If SSG lose this, we go to Oregon. KDS is able to avoid trophy stairs. Thinking Nate, nice peek, but he's unable to find the pick. Canadian is above. A hatch now. Can drop down. But you want him shooting, not planting. Unfortunately, though, loses Thinking Nate. The flash, it's not going to happen. Alamau will send us to Oregon. What a performance from Team 1.
It's a 7-4 scoreline for the Brazilian hopefuls. A good comeback after a devastating map number 1. This is shaping up to be one hell of a series. And that was a good performance from them on Chalet. I'm sure Space Station will be a little bit disappointed. That objective in particular, the thorn in their side. But of course, they still have a chance to bounce back.
And we will go to a short break. When we come back, Jess and Dev will break down all of the action on Chalet.
What does it take to create a secure community? Join us on the second episode of I Call Next as we discover how to protect what's most important and enable worry-free play.
We are back. Team One have fought back, Jess. It looked to be perhaps another 7-1, but in the opposite direction. Turns out Spacestation had a few more aces up their sleeve, but it was not enough. And in the end, Team One do somehow take that away. What a monstrous game there on Chalet we just witnessed.
I was really impressed by Alamau, and it wasn't just down to his mechanical skill, even though that is what I've been talking about when we reference Team One. I am talking about mechanical skill more often than not. But think back to how many Twitch drones he was able to get in and do serious damage. Speaking of the man, and of course, he was able to get quite a few impact frags as well. But I do think there was a lot of utility dealt with here. One of the big standouts as well over both of the maps has actually been Levy, one of the players that you don't always necessarily bring up, as he tends to be the flex support player for the side of Team One. And for me, overall, I do think it was a good effort there from SSG. Chalet is the only attacking-sided map throughout the group stage here, out of all of the maps that we have in the competitive pool. So it's not a surprise things were swinging that way. But when you have that many rounds to go up against, it was just too tall of an order for SSG.
I feel like it doesn't matter what map it is or how defender or attacker side it is. If you get a 5-1 in any half, you have set yourself up so well. It's funny seeing the Team One reactions though, because we saw some hype, but we also saw some frustration on their faces. Of course, that frustration was even more prevalent on the Space Station side of things. And Jess, that does leave us at a 1-1 scoreline, so we will have to go to Oregon to determine the winner of this match, and of course, who will be eliminated from the tournament, which is making it very scary. Now, my question is, with Alamau hyped up like that, with Team One really feeling the energy after that Chalet performance, does that start to give them some momentum they can run with on map 3?
The reason I was sighing in absolute desperation before is because if you look over to the Space Station camp, you pull up them as an Oregon team, they are bad. They're not good. And when I say bad, well, that's from a winning results. They have recently been able to take it all the way in OT. Think about that match against Parabellum the other day where they 7-8, and then, of course, they 7-8 with Oxygen as well. So they get close, but no cigar. Biggest thing for me, however, is that they have not won since February 1st. Not on any of my stats here, with Canadian, without Canadian, with Luke, doesn't matter. There has not been an Oregon win in their sights for multiple months now. And the problem with that is you go look over at Team One, you have a look exactly how they fare on it. They love Oregon. In fact, I have about 12 different plays here alone since February, and they have a pretty 50-50 mixed bag here, but they're beaten teams like Dark Zero, Liquid, W7M. I mean, they have beaten quite a few teams and of course lost to quite a few, but if that momentum really rings true here, I'm telling you what, it will be a devastating map for SSG. I really do think so.
Yeah, definitely. I think Team One has the advantage coming off that win. Like you're saying, they have some positive results on this map, but also some losses. Yeah, like you could point to that 7-2 against Dark Zero. That's a big deal. But they also lost to Cyclops, BDS, Empire. So it's not all a good story. And I think that leaves us in a position where for Oregon, both of these teams have good results. Both of these teams have bad results. It's not either team's #1 best map. It's not either team's favorite map to play, but it is one both of them have in their repertoire. It just might not be the most comfortable. And what that means is, of course, it should be a fairly even match, which is an exciting prospect considering that this is such an emblematic match, I think, between these two teams, the 2-month-old Team One roster and the last year's 5-stack of the world champions. With Canadian, potentially, Jess, this could be Canadian's last game of competitive Rainbow Six Siege ever.
Oh, that is history in the making. You and I are sitting here being able to see this history being made right in front of our eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, look out your window, check the weather, check the day, don't forget it, because you will have to look back on this and people will say, where were you on the last day that Canadian played? And this might be it, because I truly do think, it's a mixed bag of results for Team One, but it is by far their favorite map, by far, by double the amount in the past couple of months. Oregon is one of their favorite maps to go to, regardless of results. This, on paper, is a Team One map. SSG are going to have to pull something out of the bag. The same way I said about Team One on Chalet, and they did it. This is one of those maps that I truly do think if you want to come from behind, if you want to really paint a true story for SSG, it will be on Oregon. I'm waiting with bated breath because I truly do think SSG has a mountain to climb on here on Oregon against Team One.
They certainly do. Now, this is going to be a tough slog for them. You look at the most recent game SSG has played on Oregon. It was a loss to Parabellum in the group stage of Six Invitational. You look a bit further back, they lost at 7-8 again to Team Oxygen in the NAL Stage 1. And as we start to look at these players themselves, let's kind of determine the vibe of these teams. Like, you look at Team 1, these guys are looking pretty chilled, having a bit of fun, smiles all around as they start to get ready. I feel like Team 1 really does have that momentum, and I feel like they really do have the mental in their favor. Nothing to lose. Well, let's imagine for a second, hypothetical, Team 1 loses this game. They'll be like, oh, damn, we lost. Oh, well, great run, guys. Let's go and, have a nice night and then fly home back to Brazil. Whereas SSG lose this, and that is absolutely devastating.
When you're trying to be a defending world championship team, the pressure must be unbearable. It must be suffocating sometimes to sit there and go, my goodness, the fans, the expectations of all of us experts, the just overriding feeling going into it is that you are trying to defend being a world champion. And that is such a weight for these players. I know they're trying not to think about it. I know that, Like and very experienced coach behind them will be telling them it doesn't matter. Play your game. It's a new year, new Six Invitational. Play it as we've practiced. And I really do think they are coming from behind. They're in the lower bracket. Obviously, this is a knockout game. Whoever loses this map will be on the plane the very next day. And that is something that both of these teams are staring down the barrel now as we get into the very last map. I can't believe Oregon will be the battleground for this, because honestly, this could be a serious playground for Alamau again if he keeps that momentum behind him. We've seen what he can do on the SMG11. We could see what he could do with the F2 on Twitch. And now we need to see what he can do on Oregon, because I think we're going to see some special bans come out. Maybe they get rid of the Ying. They don't want to go up against that monster anymore, because that was really influential.
And if there's any player I will be looking at, not only in the server, but of course in the player camps, it will be Troy Canadian himself. It has been such a long road. He was on the very first team to ever win a Six Invitational way back in 2017. Now he's 24. It's looking like this is his chance to retire. But of course, he wants to go out with a bang, not with a whimper, and he needs to step up here to further Space Station's crusade through the lower bracket. It is right now, right here, Space Station versus Team 1, Map 3. Let's go, casters.
Let's go indeed. Thank you very much, Jess and Dev. What a sensational matchup this has been, guys. Already, we've, of course, seen SSG taking out Clubhouse. We've already seen, of course, Chalet dominated by Team 1. But now it comes down to this, the final map of this best of 3. It's Oregon to decide who moves forward and who goes home.
And the expectations set beautifully there by the desk. Team 1 don't have really much pressure at all in this match. They're just here to have a bit of fun and show what they can do. But for Space Station Gaming and Canadian in particular, this is such a huge match. They are looking to defend the world title, and this could potentially be Canadians' last ever game of competitive Rainbow Six Siege. Just such a huge story heading into this one. The ban phase kicks off. SSG on the defense. They'll take the Thatcher off the board first. Expected here on Oregon. As Jess alluded to, maybe Team 1 will take the Ying off, though. In response, we saw Faults play it over on Chalet. And they will. So well done, Jess. You can tick that box off. And Candelas will no longer play a part in this best of 3.
Yeah, and if we're going to continue hyping on Jess here, pointing out the Oregon difference between these two teams, I had written down over the last few months, SSG 1-6 on Oregon, 15 times they banned it, For Team 1, 5 and 6, but only 4 bans. That is a stark difference between the two teams coming into this map. For what is meant to be a deciding map, it yet feels like Team 1's map all the way. Valk taken off the board, so is oNe from SSG for the projectile denial. And that's it. Bans are done. We get into this map, but as I said before, guys, it's do or die time for both of these two teams. The team that does await them will be Team Empire.
Ooh, jeez, that's going to be a spicy game. But of course, all focus currently still on this one. Spacestation starting out on the defense. They'll probably feel quite comfortable there, considering that their attack win rate has not been amazing at the 6th Invitational. So they'll be looking to establish as many rounds as possible. And that all begins down below in basement. Canadian sticking that mirror from Chalet, and mirror can definitely be a nuisance on this objective and on this map as a whole. You can place one facing into freezer or into laundry, another in E-box facing over towards the blue bunker, for example, and those positions can be quite tricky to deal with. We're also going to see the Goyo 6 picked by fault, and that means that there will be 3 deployable shields that the defense will have as cover, and that Team 1 will need to clear.
And I've got to say here for SSG, when what the desk alluded to and what I've already touched on feels like the map is going against them. I'm kind of glad they're starting on the defense first, at least here at 6 Invitational. It has been defend-decided, of course, on Oregon. Not too much of a surprise, at least that should be for many. So the fact that they get to defend first means it's going to set the expectations by the end of the first half pretty easily. I mean, if this is like a 3-3 half, or if it's a 4-2 Team 1 half, then it's going to start to look really dire for SSG going into the second half. But if they can get a 4-2 and get off to a really good start, suddenly things will look up, and then they will have an opportunity in the second half. So that's sort of the way I expect this to play out. SSG are going to need to start well here on their defense for Oregon.
Now, if you are just tuning in, maybe just catching the third match, I know that for North America and for the Latin American fans, this is very, very early in the morning, so can't blame you for that. But some of the standout players to watch so far, probably Alamau for Team 1. A huge impact over on Chalet, finding a lot of kills, and was very prominent on the Twitch, not being brought at least in this round. And then for Spacestation Gaming, a few of their players stepping up as well, but the spotlight really needs to be on Canadian in this matchup. Such a long-time veteran of the scene, a multiple 6 Invitational winner, and he is looking to go out with a bang. He will not want to lose this match here. He wants to go as deep in that bracket as possible.
Well, speaking of bang, Bosco has been banging up a storm. 21-9 over the course of this best of 3 so far. Of course, that's now 2 maps that have been played. Canadian 14-13, so that's +1. Thinking Nate also 14-13, that's +1. So for the SSG, their numbers are looking pretty good. But for Team 1, they're looking amazing, at least for some of their players. Levy with a 20-14, so that's +6. And Alamau, who started very slow, if we actually recall all the way back to Clubhouse, was not really that impactful. So just the Chalet performance alone has now got Alamau into a +3 position. In terms of entries, it's been pretty close, back and forth. Hard to really split it, especially coming over to here on Oregon. You kind of discount what's happened on the other maps and just see what happens. Minute 20 on the clock, thinking they will reposition those ADSs into freezer. Still 5 versus 5, not much has really happened, but Team 1 now start to establish their presence over towards this blue bunker.
Only one ADS covering this shield, so with that flashbang being sent out by Aloau, Neskin can use the Gon 6 to clear it, and now Thinking Nate is left a little bit stranded. A drone over towards Pillar will spot his position, and another on the blue tarps will confirm it. He's trying to fall back and maybe swing the player on the stairs. It's a tricky position that Thinking Nate finds himself in, and the nade will force that movement a little bit early. He's in Harry Potter now, and he's just trying to stay alive and kill as many drones as possible.
Thinking Nate, can he win this fight over towards backstairs? Team 1 have got angles galore right now, even meeting hatch. They can drop down. They've got the player over at backstairs, bunker. Oh no. Oh, the timing. Levy just puts back that nade, picks out the gun, and there's a second. That's KDS pushing down backstairs, clears out Pillar. A 2-man advantage now for Team 1, but KDS on the floor. And Levy, that's too strong, bringing that fine performance that we saw from Clubhouse and Chalet now already over to Oregon. What a start, a swift
it's Canadian
from Team 1. The Nitro Cell. Oh no, it takes out Vaults. Oh no. Not quite how the play was written up. What a start for Team One, swiftly taking the opening round on their attack.
Oh, Canadian. If he hits that nitro, that may well have been a Space Station round. It was in the dying seconds. I'm sure the replay will confirm just how close that was, but outside of that play alone, Team One, a beautiful collapse on that pillar position. And there we go, 2 seconds left. Picking that kit back up would have been very difficult. I think Team One probably would have been able to and get it back down, provided they were not asleep at the wheel, but nonetheless, an unfortunate mistake there from Canadian.
Yeah, very unfortunate, but a really good attack from Team One. The way that they were able to attack this laundry site, I mean, honestly, guys, it's one of the better attacks that I've seen on Oregon for quite some time in terms of taking basement. It was just clean. They had all of the angles. They absolutely suffocated SSG. And that, honestly, to me, does not spell good news for SSG. If Team One are going to be playing like this here on Oregon, this could be almost as quick as Clubhouse was, which was a 7-1 for Space Station Gaming. And maybe the Chalet performance will come back to bite SSG, and they may end up getting knocked out here in the lower bracket round 1, because if they do lose this, they are done. Canadian will also be done, and that dream will come to an end. Team One, good start, but SSG, of course, plenty of rounds to fight back.
Yeah, we'll have to see just how strong Team One's attacks are on the other sides. If they can start steamrolling momentum, they could look scary, but upstairs, of course, a very different objective in the way it plays out. 2 below, the extension inside of kitchen for Space Station. They can establish vert in towards kids and some lines of sight, as well as the rotation in towards security, making that quite precarious for the attack. Team One, on the other hand, how will they approach the site? We have seen a little bit of a shift in the meta recently, with teams going for white stairs and double window attacks as opposed to straight heading in from the likes of Closet and Trophy, for example. But so far, Team One are setting up on this eastern side of the map. The player really to watch is probably going to be Lagonis on the ace, as to where exactly he wants to deploy those summers.
And there's also Addict as well, which at times has now also fallen a little bit out of favor. Does still, we see an Addict push every now and then, because it can still be used in combination with, say, big window and white stairs. If you try and take control of pit, moving into kids. 2 minutes. Ooh, Alamau though finds an early pick. That's through big window, I'd have to imagine. Rampy is going to be eliminated. Nice angle found, and for Team One, another good start here. You've got to remember, guys, this is, regarded as a defend-decided map. At least here at 6 Invitational, it has been playing out that way. So Team One bucking the trend right now. KDS ends up winning that fight too. Fultz is down. Another 2-man advantage for Team One. What is happening from SSG's side of things? Canadian, can you save them, please? They need you right now.
Canadians is all the way in Big Tower. He executes a flank, I think, onto Levy, or either way, he's eventually made his way through that rotate, and he'll play down below. He may well have just walked through Attic and found that pick. Didn't quite catch it, but either way, he is probing the danger man here for Space Station with a Nitro Cell in hand. Team One don't have a dedicated flank watch operator on the board, instead relying on their drones. They have 5 available, but are they being used efficiently? Team One are being stalled out a little bit here. Bosco gets aggressive. He finds the pick, but it's a very sharp trade there from Lagonis. And Team One still have the man at.
Lagonis probably should have got another one there as well. That was close. 37 seconds on the clock. Canadian just pushing through lobby. Now make his way up his main stairs. He is so close to getting this kill. Lagonis gets away, half health. That Claymore was stopping him from pushing up. Alamau dies, thinking Nade's got 2. The combination of Thinking Nade and Canadian coming up big here on this kids' dorm site. KDS, the last one standing. Thinking Nade does not have much health though. KDS will be able to win this. It won't take much. You could almost knife him here. And he does end up getting the kill. 1 versus 1. Canadian has to stop this plant from going down. He's got time. He's got a Nitro Cell if he so pleases. He throws it out. He wins the trade. Canadian clutching the round for SSG when it looked like it was falling apart.
Canadian is just an absolute machine. What a huge round, getting a pick early in the round to not allow Team One to steamroll it in the end. And then he is cool, calm, and collected in the clutch. Very well played there. Thinking Nate as well, inside of Kids, he had a huge impact. 2 incredibly difficult swings to win, but he does it in the end. It was a valiant effort from KDS, but Team One just not good enough. You just cannot defeat Canadian. He is just the clutch god.
In fairness, I think at the end there, KDS has no choice but to try and stick that diffuser. I think you can even see him going for the play. I'm not sure why he got off it. Probably the Nitro Cell. He anticipated that. So it was still a good play from Canadian. Throws out that Nitro Cell, but KDS actually got off of it before it. Maybe he heard the Nitro Cell being ripped. I don't know, guys.
I think he panicked. I think he just panicked a little bit. Honestly, he was quite low on HP.
I would panic too if Canadian's coming after me.
Yeah, I would be too. Canadian is very, very scary. It didn't look pretty there in the end in the clutch, but again, all focus on Canadian. He was the one that had a huge impact in that round.
100%.
He is the player that can really lift the team here if he continues to show up.
1-1. It's a big round too, because you do not want to be losing the first 2 defensive rounds on Oregon. So very clutch play from Canadian, but also Thinking Nate. Don't forget about his performance too. Back over on the site in that last round, found a double kill. That was a big part of it too. So I'm going to make sure we give the plaudits to those who also deserve it. And Thinking Nate one of those. 1-1, Team 1 will attack once again here. KDS and Levy playing well again. Alamel, I'm sure we're going to see him be very proficient on Oregon as well at some point, and that's when things are going to get really tasty in this matchup. And honestly, at this point, I would be surprised if we don't go to OT. It would be fitting if it goes the distance here on Oregon.
Alamau is too good. Bolts will fall at the start of this round. Devastating aggression here from Team 1. And it doesn't matter who he's playing, Alamau can do big damage. No response from SSG, but Canadian is crouching up the armory stairs, trying to get a trade. Alamau applying more pressure over towards Big Tower, but he's the big man himself. What can Canadian do?
Nice shot from Canadian. Alamau's going to be stopped dead in his tracks nice and early in this round. Not allowed on that buck to go around doing what he did to Fultz earlier. And a big play to take down. As I mentioned, Alamau, Levy, and KDS have been the big 3 for Team 1. Any of those 3 that get taken off the board is going to be a big pick for SSG. But it's back down to sight for SSG. They're going to give up on this roam.
Lagonis on the Habana can pop the front hatch, and I think he's making his way over towards security now, and with 14 X-Kari still left in his launcher, he can pop that open as well. I assume the next objective would be the meeting hatch if it hasn't already been popped by Levy, as the team now sets up for a freezer execute, I think. Everyone running around, mad dashing for their starting positions here on this execute. It may well actually be a front push over towards Laundry. Evil Eyes and Bulletproof Cameras covering this position though, and SSG should know that it is coming from here. Eventually, Laguna scouts ahead though for the attack, and here's the freezer pressure being applied. It's a big nade from Neskin. It's a huge nade from Neskin, and it's a 4-3 lead for Team 1.
And it allows KDS to push up, but right into the shotgun of Bosco, who then immediately pushes in towards Freezer. Lagonis defeats Canadian, 2 versus 2. Nice pick from Rampy. Lagonis now left up into a 1 versus 2, but Bosco with a shotgun. Too strong, too good inside of Freezer. Ice cold from SSG.
SSG in the late round. They're laughing, they're smiling, they're happy with how that one played out. It was a frantic setup for Team 1, and in the end, they were unable to consolidate that into a round win. I thought that off the back of that thinking grenade that maybe Team 1 could get something going, but SSG, their teamwork in that round just too good, and a good comeback considering that Fultz was dropped so early in that round.
Yeah, for sure. Fultz, unfortunately, taken off the board. Good to see Rampy find a pick as well while all of this commotion was going on when it was a 2 versus 2. Takes off Levy, and that's a big player to get rid of. And Bosco, I mean, look at that again, just the timing of it, and you can feel the confidence start to extrude now from SSG as they find their footing here on Oregon. 2 rounds in a row, and the longer that they can keep this going, the more that Team 1 will start to maybe doubt themselves, and their mental fortitude will be tested.
Yeah, definitely some deep breaths going to be taken by all 10 players in this server over the course of this matchup. High pressure for a couple of different reasons. Again, just reinstating the stakes, I guess. Team One trying to make the hopeful run for Latin America. Bit of an unknown quantity heading into this tournament. Quite a fresh team. In fact, only been together for a couple of months, and they're looking to prove themselves. SSG, though, if you've been around the scene long enough, you know exactly who these guys are. The reigning world champions. They want to try and back that up, claim the hammer once again, and add on top of that the pressure of this maybe being Canadians' final game of competitive Siege if SSG falter at the final hurdle in this best of 3. So the stakes are high. Team One on this attack will be looking to even out the scoreline. Alamau again on the entry on the buck. Aggressive as always.
Yep.
It is a kitchen and meeting defense for SSG. And horizontal control is paramount here for Team One, at least for Alamau. Up above though, Neskin meanwhile on the Gemini might try and scout ahead as well for his team.
Yeah, just spotted Fultz over in Kids, and he's able to then continue to push over towards Games, and then just comes back. So a nice little bit of information gathered. Nothing too crazy from that Gemini. Pressure over towards Kitchen, though. And just the way that Team One currently positioning themselves does give us a bit of a feeling that this might be a Kitchen attack rather than, say, meeting, because if it was meeting, we'd probably see a few more players over towards Big Tower and trying to get to work over there. So they're really putting in a lot of work to flush out these players in kids' dorms.
SSG still with a stronghold above here. Neskin on the double window, and also a player on the bedroom balcony. Levy also preparing himself inside of dining. A pause in the action here. Team One again looking to establish themselves in this round. Neskin fires the first shots, but it's Fultz to come out on top of that engagement. KDS, he doesn't hit the refrag. He will eventually to 4v4. Rampy with the Pokeball. He gets KDS, and now Team One are on the back foot.
Oh, and Lagonis is eliminated as well by Thinking Nade. SSG are just tearing Team One apart at the moment on their defense.
A bomb has been located.
Levy can't even get the defuse. The Thinking Nade with a double for the round. Neskin the last one. He's gone too. He perishes on site. SSG will take another round. They've got 3 in a row. And that momentum, that full steam ahead momentum is building rapidly, Guz.
This is shaping up to be one hell of a matchup. Spacestation are looking incredibly sharp in this third map so far. Team One flustered as they try and enter in towards the site. Bit of a messy engagement over towards top white. KDS was not the cleanest of refrags that he would have liked. A player in the peripheral over in Kids as well, that I believe was the one to throw the impact nade at the very end there. The Pokeball finding its prey. Strong performance there from SSG. They look fired up at the moment.
They certainly do. And they are playing well defensively. They're not allowing Team One to even really get much position, also denying a lot of time. They're not throwing lives away either. I mean, so far, Team One, yes, Team One have done well in their opening 3 rounds to find opening picks. They've been able to do that through Alamau, usually on that butt, pushing in, opening up something and just getting a crazy pick. But then in that last round, they made it a lot more difficult for Team One to get the pick. In fact, it ended up being Fultz at around the minute mark or so. So that's kind of late in the round compared to some of those previous rounds where Alamau was just pushing in, getting an opening pick at the 2-minute mark and making it then a little hard for SSG. But SSG, to their credit, didn't even matter in those other rounds. And this time they get the advantage and they capitalize extensively. That round was over as soon as SSG got those first couple of picks.
An upstairs defense here for Space Station Gaming. They attempted this site in round number 2 and they were successful despite not getting the opening pick. It was Alamau at the 2-minute mark to find the opener in that one. And I believe that was the round, Jake, where Canadian was the one to clutch it up in the end. It was a 1v1. And you back him in those scenarios. So who knows just how close this round may be. Rampy, he's at the bottom of Big Tower. As a Nitro cell already ripped as to not give away the sound cue, but he is spotted by the eyes of Levy with that drone. He still will persist for a little bit. Will Rampy commit to this play? It's a little bit risky, but he is at least burning some of this information.
And the last time we saw this site in particular, Rampy ended up getting picked very early on. Alamau, I think it was from Big Window, got a nice angle on him over in dorms. And so at least he's able to have a bit of an impact this round, run around, you know, throw a Nitrocell or two. Well, not two, but throw one somewhere at some point. Try and get involved, and that's exactly what's happening for Rampy. It's, you know, and it's really good to see that 2-2 right now. Very much struggled on the earlier two maps, but is being involved here. Rotates down below from Freezer, will make his way over towards backstairs and probably come up over into Big Tower as Team 1 do start to make their push.
Banshee spotted out there on the upside down rappel, and there is quite a bit of utility that will need to be cleared. Evil Eyes as well. Canadian placing out his last inside of pit to provide some support. Alongside Thinking Nate. Alamau, he's below. He has control of Kitchen, but he's being lit up. The players inside of Kids on the side of the defense, not giving out without a fight, but Faults. That's huge. He gets the pick from Meeting. SSG with the opener.
Minute 10 of the round. SSG with the second round in a row where they get the opening pick. Claymore down for KDS as he looks to take control of White Stairs. Levy with an interesting position over to that Kid's window, just trying to clear some of this utility, this nade, maybe just trying to clear Bosco in general, who holds that position. Gas Babe goes out, 50 seconds left. Rampy still roaming below, has not been cleared. Could eventually push up those freezer stairs and make a play over towards KDS. Remember that Claymore is down. Oh, but he's been spotted. He's been flushed out. Bosco gets another one. 30 seconds left. The round is just falling away from Team 1. And maybe the map could be as well in their SI lives if they're not careful. Canadian Faults lighting up the kill feed. There's only one left. No more. Lagonis is done. SSG go to 4-1 up here on Oregon.
Space Station locking down every key position that Team 1 have established. As they question what the Brazilians are doing in this matchup. They went for the top white window control, or top white and double window control rather, but just completely shut down there. Those smoke babes, absolutely perfect from SSG, looking red hot at the moment. If they get the 5-1 lead here, you have to back them to take this series.
Yeah.
But you just never know. You just never know. And Team 1, we've seen it in this series. They are capable of some big plays, and they'll be looking to get this last attack of the regulation half.
And this is where you start to question the proficiency of Team 1 on Oregon. Jess was mentioning it over, of course, in the pre-match discussion for this particular map and how much they love Oregon and they love to go here and they love to play here, maybe even despite some of their results. At least on their attacks, I honestly thought we'd get a little bit more from them. Typically, if you're really a big fan of a map like Oregon, you've got to be pretty decent on the offense, knowing that it's pretty defender-sided. But they had not been able to really fire much of a shot outside of the opening round, which honestly, that opening round, the way they executed, especially on this basement site, which we are finally returning to, was flawless. It was amazing. It was a great round, and I thought maybe that would be the precedent that was set from Team 1 for the remainder of this this half at least. And well, I couldn't be more wrong. SSG have just been able to fight back on these other sites, win 4 in a row, and now we finally go back downstairs. In fact, actually, I did make a mistake. We have been here at least one extra time. That was won by SSG. So this is the third time we're seeing the site. It's 1-1. The only site that Team 1 has actually won. A lot of ones in that little wordplay.
How many ones can one fit in a sentence about ones if one tried?
More than one.
I don't know. Definitely more than one. As Team 1 will drone above. Establish control, but it's Alamau again, aggressive on the buck, establishing horizontal rotations, and this player on the backstairs needs to be careful. I don't quite know who that is for SSG, but alongside Levy, they could do a little bit of damage. I think it may have been Faults, who's now fallen back down, holding a more traditional position over towards the blue tarps. In fact, everyone from SSG holding what you would expect, a player in freezer, a player in bunker. And this is the checklist that Team 1 will need to complete. That does start with the hatches being open. Rampy may well have juggled that hatch. I don't think I heard it pop open inside of Meeting. Either way, though, that's something that the attack will need to deal with. That one was definitely successful.
Yeah, he got it.
That one was definitely successful there from Rampy inside Meeting.
Yeah, you could hear that one. Rampy just playing much more proficient here on Oregon. Is always a good sign. Levy just trying to get rid of that Electric Claw. And now we'll move over to meeting to deal with this hatch. And Fultz is going to reposition this ADS now. And honestly, this elbow position probably not too required. So he's taking some of the ADSs away from elbow and will position them more over to the site.
Now, Team 1 will set up 4 blue control shields still on the tarp's position. Will need to be cleared. There's at least one ADS device covering that, so it will need to be burnt, likely by Alamau, who can use a flashbang, but that grenade will be sent out elsewhere. That's the Vulcan shield inside of blue bunker taken down, and Bosco is forced back. Still one reinforcement in the pool, but they elect not to use it just yet. Bosco takes a little bit of damage and only has 1 gas canister left, and I assume he'll now fall back and reinforce that position. Team 1, 35 seconds to go. They still need to take down Fultz and then make their way in towards site for the execute.
Yeah, Team 1 really need to get control of Pillar here if they're going to be able to push in from blue bunker, and there's not that much time either. Looking like they're going to just drop down meeting. Fultz can't win him out. He does get 1. 2 traded overall, so it's a 3 versus 3. Bosco with the shotgun again, going pretty big. Now, Canadian's on the floor, so it's all up to Bosco. He can't get it done. Team 1 will close out the half. Finally getting 1 back. The way they started the half, guys, is how they end the half, with a win down in basement.
And I thought I heard a Claymore pop there, and it was in fact confirmed at the end of that round, Canadian being taken down as he tries to make the rotation. But in all honesty, by the time he would have committed to that rotation, I assume, to the meeting hatch, the round was basically over. Team 1 establishing some good dominance in that round in particular, clearing out positions late, and a couple of nutty shots, enough to close it out for the Brazilians. 2-4 the scoreline as we enter the second half of regulation. And I know we've probably said it 1,000 times, but this is really turning into a barn burner.
Yeah, and now I will be very shocked if we don't see this go to OT at the very least. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if Team 1 could just hold out defensively here. If they are as proficient on this map as they claim to be, they should be more than capable of doing so. For SSG, a 5-1 half was theirs for the taking. I would have felt very confident in their ability to then close out from there. At 4-2, it's more now closer to job done territory, guys. You know, on the defense on Oregon, it's sort of like, okay, 4-2, they did their job. That's what was kind of expected from them. Nothing more, nothing less. Now we have to see what their attack's going to be like, because if they've got a, you know, insufficient attack, then Team 1 will happily just win out here on their defense.
5 seconds to
Space Station have been struggling with their attacks at the start of this year. Again, keep in mind that through stage 1 of NAL, Luke, their analyst, had to step in because Canadian had retired, and that threw a bit of a spanner in the works, and they were finding life a little bit tricky. That form didn't quite correct itself, even with Canadian jumping back on board. So far in the 6th Invitational, their attacking win rate has been 33%, a scary number for the North American fans, but by no means does this rule them out. Numbers are one thing, but actually executing a game plan is another. Neska needs to be careful here inside of security. No, he has some support on Freezer, but it's Fultz to get the first pick. Levy taken down.
Yeah, that's a big player off the board, Levy. Just mechanically more than the operator, but good play to take out for Fultz. Nice pick early on. SSG get what they very much desired. A man advantage moving on here for their attack. And it's just all about the mindset now and how they're going to be able to attack this basement site. They've had it, obviously, just previously by Team 1 twice in that first half. They were able to attack it. So SSG have seen the blueprint for what it takes. And if there's multiple angles opened up, but whether you go for backstairs in the meeting hatch drop and blue bunker to just try and have 3 different angles of attack. Don't just all funnel in through freezer and laundry. It won't work.
Nope. Canadian goes to pop the hatch and it's already open, so he doesn't need to use any X-Kairos on that position. Meanwhile, other utilities to be cleared. Bosco will use 1 frag grenade to clear the Banshee on the tower stairs and may now make his way over towards blue bunker with another grenade in hand to clear any more deployable shields still scattered around. Drones fly out. Still 10 available for Space Station. A healthy position that they find themselves in, and that allows them to gain a lot of information and make sure that their bases are covered. 4 members alive for Team 1. It only takes 1 or 2 of these to come to life, to bring it back. There's X-Kairos shot off the wall. That's an angle that has been denied by Team 1. KDS inside the pillar. Needs to go big. Canadian disrupts. He's going to try and find the pick, but the swing from Lagonis. No! He pulls out a C4. Either way, though, he still finds the kill. Diffuser is dropped. KDS was cleared, and now Lagonis tries to make it back to site, but he will also be shut down. Neskin and Alamau in the 2v4.
Bomb has been located.
Can they hold on? There's not that much time. Neskin over towards elbow, starts to push out, should get the headshot and does. Boss goes off the board now. He's gone. 20 seconds left, and suddenly it just becomes a little bit more manageable now for Team 1. Neskin, Alamau, thinking Nate, of course, has to stick this diffuser. There's not much time. Fultz is watching. He's got impinged. Surely cannot get out of elbow. Oh, Alamau with the swing, though. Thinking Nate just got it down in time. Alamau and Neskin go huge. The shotgun from both of them. And SSG just get torn to shreds. They almost had a 5-2 lead. No more, though. Team 1 with a big save down in basement.
Absolutely ridiculous from Team 1. How do they bring that round back? The crossfires were covered by Space Station, but they prevail in the end. The hatch drop from Canadian. So incredibly brave. It was a chaotic part of that round. 40 seconds to go. So many frags going left and right. But in the dying seconds, Neskin and Alamau. What a ridiculous clutch that was. Alamau, you are an absolute machine.
Yeah, I mean, not a surprise. Alamau has been so instrumental in this series, in this best of 3. Pretty much across all 3 maps, guys, and has been a standout for Team 1. 19 and 19 now overall, a 76% cost. That's tied second out of all of the players in this server. It's including both teams. But an opportunity just goes begging for SSG. I'll say they should have won that round. They really should have from the position that they were in. But Team 1, to their credit, played that perfectly. Neskin and Alamau played off each other, and it's 3-4 as we move into the 8th round. How much is that going to come back to bite SSG?
Bosco will bring the Capital into the lineup here for Space Station Gaming. That could be a very powerful operator if they want to go for that double window jump in. Keep in mind that there is no Wamai available. Was banned out by SSG, so they're playing into their ban here. And once those asphyxiating bolts and smoke bolts as well fly out, that causes a lot of chaos and a lot of disruption for the defense to deal with. So we'll keep an eye on Bosco in this round, see exactly what he is capable of. In the meanwhile, though, again, vertical lines of sight and rotations created down below. That's Fultz using 2 of his breaching charges as they try and establish control inside of Kitchen.
And this is where the nerves just get tested as well. Nerves of steel, who's going to be able to stand up in these big moments. Tournament life on the line for both teams. One of these 2 teams will be going home inside of the next half an hour or so. How quickly things can change in the mindset right now. You, of course, just head deep into this match, but minutes later, you're gone. Plane, Rampy with another nade. This one onto Neskin, and it's another opening pick for SSG. They've been getting a few of these lately. In fact, the last 5 in a row now. Apparently, Fultz actually had 4 of them in a row. Didn't even realize that until I just went and actually looked at the picks, and it's not traded back. So again, SSG will have a 1-man advantage.
Bosco laying down cover fire. He actually has the LMG in hand. I didn't quite realize, but that gun has an almost infinite magazine size. And he is positioned on that double window. A very sneakily placed drone on top of the chassis. He can watch that rotation from Kids. He's a player, in fact, in the Kids' bedroom position. Fires, but doesn't quite hit. Watches the pixel and also misses that second attempt. It is Alamau with 2 gas canisters. He is a huge player, an instrumental player for SSG to clear if they want to hit off this attack successfully.
Oh, Levy's been taken down. That's, speaking of huge players, that's a big one too. SSG, advantage. But this time, can they capitalize? Oh, KDS had no idea they were at the bottom of white stairs. Vaults will get an easy kill. It's only Lagonis and Alamau, and Lagonis is gone. Alamau's good, guys. He's actually pretty good, and he's had an amazing series, but even he's not going to be able to 1v5 SSG. Flawless from Spacestation Gaming.
The prone at the top of White Stairs strat does work out on this occasion, and SSG smiles all around. They'll be happy with how that one played out, finding isolated picks around the objective, and most critically, they were not traded back by Team 1. A fantastic nade kicked things off from Rampy, and unfortunately, the awareness just not quite there from Team 1. A couple of players were shut down, and in fact, it wasn't even the player that was prone at the top of the stairs to get that final pick. The swing was successful in the end. SSG edging closer and closer towards that match point. But if they want to secure it, they'll need to defend kitchen and dining.
Oh, the fact that they're even going to dining here for Team 1 is, well, not surprising too much. It's either dining or you go over to meeting. But dining is usually the lesser of two evils, doesn't have the best defensive win rate, also doesn't get played as often. But typically, if you're choosing it, guys, it means you got something. You got some sort of idea as to how you want to play it, and therefore, then you can't really question it either, can you? So, see how this gets played by Team 1 and what they're going to do to set up for this defense for kitchen dining.
What are they capable of? What are they capable of? Jaeger and oNe being brought to the table here from the defense. Quite a bit of projectile denial on the board, and Lagonis on the Echo can use those yokai drones to gain information and deny plants. Getting the plant down on this objective can be tricky at times, depending on how exactly the defense wants to set up, and it's quite aggressive, in fact, from Team 1. Looking to extend in towards showers, a shield at the 90 corridor as well. Space Station will need to clear this out quite efficiently. Sure, Jaeger did get nerfed, but with oNe on the board as well, it could be tough here for Space Station. Oh, that's smart though. Oh, that's so smart. No! Fox doesn't hit it! Second attempt though.
Fires.
Third attempt, they all got caught.
Oh no.
Every single Ash charge just got caught on that deployable shield. KDS drops the kit as well. Bosco trades it back, but that is a very sloppy start from SSG.
Oh, very sloppy. It's maybe not round over by any means, but it's sloppy, and it's not the ideal start through the drone hole. Neskin does just cop a few bullets to his toes. 4 versus 4 at least, so Canadian off the board, KDS off the board. Lots of time though to attack this site still for SSG. Neskin can continue to hold this position.
Rampy sends the Gemini forward just to scout ahead inside of Small Tower and peeks the dining door. Lagonis shuts down the first of those Gemini replicators, as Rampy needs to wait for another one to recharge. The con wall was opened up at the top there from Team 1, so I assume that there is presence above. In fact, Levy can hold that kid's bedroom hatch position. Bosco, meanwhile, will pop open a nice little hole in towards showers. They're trying to dislodge any players potentially inside of showers. Alamau, though, playing a little bit deeper in towards the corridor. Rampy with a nice rappel. It's a nice long angle at that. Doesn't find a pick, but can hold the cross.
And it doesn't look like SSG is really going to put any sort of presence over towards Kids Dorms. Thinking Nate, the only player that's not over towards Small Tower. He's over at Yellow Bus at the moment outside. So it is very much going to be this horizontal take. And they are just going to try and, as you said, flush out the players of Team 1 from showers and then make that push into dining, looking for the plant. Team 1 positioned, though, to stop this funnel. As Faults will start to get aggressive. The Banshee gives away the information. Neskin swings, headshot. That's a nice shot from Volts, apparently. Thinking Nade gets one, but Rampy goes down to Alamau. Advantage Team 1. Bosco on site. That's going to be the yokai drones as well. showing itself there inside of showers from Lagonis on the Echo, who's now inside of Kitchen. Alamau and Levy getting the job done, but Bosco's still in the server. He's got 2. Couldn't quite get a 3rd as that player runs up wide stairs. That's Levy. Lagonis inside of Kitchen. Oh, gets off the diffuser. Lagonis is waiting for him. And Team One edge closer to getting this game tied up.
A tricky position at the end of that round there for Bosco. He's a great player, an experienced player, but still the discipline from Team One to close out that round was fantastic. The start for SSG, disappointing. Those ADS devices catching those Ash charges, one being caught by a teammate as well. A little bit sloppy in the mid-round to late from both teams. Quite a bit of chaos, but Team One edging out on top. The Space Station skin at the end there. Just rub the salt in the wounds a little bit, and those wounds exposing just a little bit. Team One, they are not going down without a fight. They avoid the match point going against them, and now they can try to defend down below.
But it's a similar predicament that we've seen from SSG, where there was that period where they're up 4-2 and they probably should have gone up 5-2 after that. Didn't quite win that round. It goes to 4-3. Then you win and you go, okay, it's 5-3. Another round that really had, they just played that round a little bit cleaner. Suddenly 6-3 instead of 5-4. It's such a different story. Team One are just really clawing this back. They're on the defense for Oregon. It's their preferred map. All of this is going against SSG right now. So they, while being up 5-4, guys, it feels like they're on the ropes right now because Team One are starting to throw some big haymakers.
Oh, yeah. Can they deliver that knockout blow, though? That's really the question, and it's really tough to see that coming through. Who knows? 3 players on site at the moment, and this would suggest that Team One playing a little bit aggressively off site. Maybe those roamers will head back towards the objective, but Levy inside of Dining, seeing if he can spot any drones. Needs to be careful of faults, though. It's a quick entry in towards Small Tower, suggesting that they do have intel pre-fire as well, further suggesting that SSG are aware that Team One do have some presence off-site. But I think those players have eventually filtered back down, and Spacestation can get to work on those hatches.
Bosco, by the way, the clear best player in the server. 30 and 14 over the best of 3, a plus 16 KD, 86% cost. If SSG are going to close out Oregon, it's going to be on the back of his shoulders. Just almost say to Canadian, hop on or give you a ride into the next round. That's what's basically been happening. As Team One wait below. KDS just peeking up backstairs, spots the drone, goes for a cheeky wall bang into meeting. Obviously not going to find what he's looking for, though. Still a lot of time in this round as it's basement defense for Team One.
Yeah, the mid-round 4 basement has been pretty slow for most of these teams. Not a lot of action in terms of the frag department, but these attacks are still definitely doing a lot of work in obtaining map control early and then popping up the critical, or popping open the critical hatches. There's 3, one inside of lobby, one inside of freezer, or security rather, and then another in meeting. Aggression though, here on Big Tower, Canadian. A couple of flashbangs sent out to try and waste some of that utility. Grenade will follow up, and I believe that was a Banshee taken down. One of Levy's that was placed there during the preparation phase. Time continues to tick down. These hatches now have been popped, and this is where we see the coordination from SSG. Is it up to scratch? Can they clear out these positions? Can they trade out efficiently? It was a hectic hatch drop on the last occasion. Will it be the same once again?
I was almost half expecting to see Canadian drop down inside of the gas bay. Just, oh, here we go. It's false. He's going to get thrown down by Canadian. It's kind of close. Levy gets one, but traded back, thinking Nate is able to take out KDS. So that's the pillar position now opened up. Nesting over at elbow as Bosco just waits. Someone's going to pick someone. He spots the shield. 4 versus 4, 35 seconds left. Oh, Alamau, that's diffuser down. That's Canadian down. Rampy got one, but Lagonis will beat out thinking Nate. Bosco can't win the big battle over towards Blue Bunker. Rampy's on site, but he's in a 1 versus 3 with only 20 seconds left in the round. Team One so close to making this 5-5 in the match. They will do just that through Lagonis. Fist bumps all around on the board. It is 5 apiece. Break point. The next round will get match point.
10 rounds now played between these two in map 3, and it is so difficult to call the winner I'd say it's almost impossible to call a winner at the moment.
Do you call a timeout, though?
Incredibly close. Maybe that is the call. One of these teams take a timeout, try and slow down the pace. Who knows? Maybe they're just feeling good at the moment, want to continue this match without interruption. Doesn't seem like a tech timeout has been called, so the action will continue to flow. Or maybe it has. I don't know. But either way, 5-5 the score. And Spacestation just need to consolidate themselves. The tactical was, in fact, called. There it is. You called it, Jake. And this is their opportunity just to refocus and think about their game plan. Canadian heading some of this discussion. It seems to be pretty holistic across the team, and of course their coach out the back offering his support as well. Now it's time to really put their heads down and think really deeply about how they're going to close this one out.
And if we just sort of summarize Oregon for those who maybe have only just tuned in, firstly, it's 1-1. Loser of this match will go home. Winner will play Empire. So there's a quick little rundown. But it was very much a great start from Team 1 winning the opening round. And then we saw SSG go pretty big. They won 4 rounds on their defense. It was a 4-1 start. And since then, since that 4-1 lead, Team 1 have now been able to win 4 of the last 5 rounds. So that basically summarizes it. Great start from SSG on the defense, as expected, but they haven't been able to translate that on their attacks here on Oregon. Team 1 right now have been able to tie it up 5-5, and the fact that they're on the defense, guys, means they are definitely favored to close this out.
Oh, the pressure. It's mounting. Feels like it's at an all-time high in this matchup. And again, the stakes so huge, particularly for Spacestation Gaming. They are the current world champions. They lifted the hammer in Montreal at the last 6 Invitational. Since then, though, been a downward trend, unfortunately, for this team, particularly at the start of this year. Canadian retired, but he's back, and he wants to lift that hammer once again. He doesn't want to go down this early into the lower bracket run. This could well be his final game of Siege ever in the competitive scene if he does lose out to this one. And he has been around for so long. He won the very first 6 Invitational for Continuum. A very esteemed history.
10 seconds left.
That won't be weighing on their minds too much at the moment, though. Just 1 round at a time, and SSG looking to bounce back. Team 1 have won the previous 2 rounds on their defense.
And of course, SSG off the back of their tactical timeout, the fact that they're attacking, the fact that they had a 4-1 lead means it's all on them now to start to fight back. If I used the boxing analogy before, I'll sort of go back into that, but they've really just been hit by a big one, guys. They are on the ropes. One more punch may knock them out, and boy, it will knock them out of SI. And Levy knocks out the big heavy hitter from SSG. Bosco is down and out for the count. SSG not only down a player, but they're down their best performing player in this series. This will be tough to see them winning this round.
No impact at all. And he is a critical player late round. Capital offers so much utility that can now no longer be expended. And on top of that, it was a spawn peak, and I'm sure Bosco will be having a hard time making sense of that one. He'll be jumping on the drones now and making sure that these players down below are covered alongside those Nomad air jabs. Neskin is in security. SSG might be able to focus their efforts on clearing out this player, try and even out the odds in this round. But most of their focus at the moment currently over towards the bedroom side. I assume Canadian will be looking to try and open up the game's wall with those ex-Kairos. But still, SSG just take their time and make sure that they drone out everything as perfectly as possible.
And after we saw SSG in the midsection of this match get 5 opening picks in a row, since then now it's 3 to Team 1, and they're capitalizing big time, guys. With these advantages, especially on the defense, it makes it so difficult for these attackers, especially late round in these executions. The final 20 seconds, when the trades start to go out, you're down a player, there's no one to then trade for the other guy because you've got less numbers. It's as simple as that. It's all about the maths. Canadian's going to be able to open up this game's wall. 1 minute on the clock, but it's still just going to take a monumental effort. Maybe this is the time for Canadian to make one final big play to get SSG match point.
Faults takes damage down below at the bottom of White Stairs. Will have to retreat. Neskin runs into an air jab, but he is not punished. Again, Faults falling off that location. Drones head out in towards games as Space Station consider this execute. Gemini heads out as well, quite deep. And a Yokai was spotted there by a Canadian. He'll spray through the couch, but I don't think it was taken down unless Lagonas had a second. 20 seconds left. What can SSG do? Can Team One hold on?
Oh, the timing here between Neskin and Faults. Neskin, shotgun. He's close. He's too good. Faults was low on health. Canadians on site now, sticking the diffuser. Lagonas has been eliminated. Rampy watching and covering the cross. Canadian gets that plant down, but Alamau, Levy, they find two big picks on the Canadian and thinking nade. Rampy runs for his life, but he's on a 1 versus 4. Levy down though, and he does have a very good sight line onto this diffuser, but Alamau, the position to the right-hand side, he doesn't give away his spot. Now he does. Rampy knows, but Levy onto that diffuser.
Oh,
Stop.
no.
Rampy, is this one for the highlight reel? He's got 3 for the round. Team One just don't know what to do right now. Neskin, you've got to cover KDS. You cannot allow him to go down. Take the bullets if you have to, but he fires them back. Team One, match point.
On the edge of one of the most remarkable clutches that we have ever seen in this game. Such an incredibly powerful angle being held there in the post plant, but Team One, they fight back. They counter diffuse the kit. Absolutely wild round there. A valiant effort from Rampy. Cannot understate just how incredible that effort was. But Team One were able to play into that man advantage, and they closed it out in the dying seconds. That was so close. So close. Team One now with match point.
Oh. And now you've got to close it out though. Now you've got that match point. You've been fighting tooth and nail. Team One just looking unstoppable right now on their defense here on Oregon. SSG, as you mentioned, a very valiant effort from Rampy, but just not enough to be able to secure match point. It goes the other way. So now SSG need to send this to overtime. And when we all started the very beginning of this match on Oregon, guys, I felt like overtime would be fitting, and we're so close to it. Is there one final play from the likes of Canadian to maybe keep the playoff hopes alive for SSG? Or is Team One the future that has arrived?
Could this be the end of an era for Space Station Gaming, the current world champions? If Team One win this round, this could be the last time that we see Canadian play competitive Siege. He has been around since the dawn of competitive Siege. Multiple 6 Invitational winner, and the pressure now absolutely enormous. The biggest it has been for this team so far in this tournament. The stakes literally could not be any higher. If they lose this round, they're going home to France. It's as simple as that. Can they get themselves back into this round? Flashbangs head out. Faults preps a grenade, peppers it in towards the side and takes that shield down. So a good clearance there from SSG to kick off this round.
The good news, at least for the Space Station Gaming fans, is if they're going to win the site, it's got to be this one, right? It's got to be Kitchen Dining. Statistically, the lowest win rate for the defense at 6 Invitational, which it hasn't been played that often, but considering it doesn't get played that often, the teams that do play it sense they've got a decent strat for it, and yet it still doesn't come up usually. The main thing is that they just cannot lose Bosco early, not only on the Maverick, but also the player. They've got to get to work on opening up these walls, especially getting the sightlines into showers. But most importantly, down the stretch, they just got to hit and win these ones, because Alamau, the likes of him, Levy, KDS, they've just been a bit better at the moment.
Minute 20 left on the board. Still 10 members alive in this server. But this showers corridor will be tricky to hold for Team One. Holds. Smacks open the wall into showers. He has one more grenade to work with. He decides not to throw it just yet. Rampy might well go to the drone hole and try and find a pick. No, he goes to the window. He connects. He does connect. Alamal, though, he gets aggressive. Avoids that second nade. He found a pick in the meantime onto Fultz. Leaves it in the 4 versus 4. 45 seconds left. You can just hear a pin drop at the moment. And SSG get this plant down. Can they convert the round and stay alive?
Another nade goes out. Alamal Neskin. Bosco pushes into showers. He's taken down by Levy. Rampy needs to go big here, just like the previous round. Neskin's taken down, thinking nade. There goes Canadian. He's off the board. Rampy waits for Alamal to push out, and he does, and he gets the pick, thinking they get shut down by Lagonas. Rampy, you get one more opportunity to clutch up big for Space Station Gaming. He will have to stick to plant. He fakes it. He gets off it. Now he's got to look for kills. He really won't have time. Unfortunately, time is of the essence here. You've got to get moving, and he cannot.